I just started my YouTube channel. It's going to be called Chalice and Chains. So this is actually going to be the first video on there. So that's pretty exciting. Organize this game through the Tabletop RPG One-Shot group. So if you guys want, just take a moment, introduce yourselves, and we'll get started. Why don't we start with Isaiah, and then we'll go Nelson in that way.
All right, Blue next.
Cool. So Isaiah, if you want, you just go ahead and introduce yourself, and then.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm Isaiah, and I don't have a YouTube channel relating to anything D&D related or pretty much at all. I'm going to be playing a Drow rogue named Fallon, which is essentially Dark Elf. And what should I say about him? Just that it?
Whatever you want.
Essentially, the key thing about him is that even despite the zombie apocalypse, he hasn't given up thieving. So even though there's zombies walking around everywhere, he still wants to find something precious to steal.
Nice. Cool. All right. Awesome. Nelson, you're up.
Yeah, I'm Nelson. I have the YouTube and Facebook channel Infinite Roleplay. I do tons of artistic stuff on the channel and roleplay related stuff as well, including live plays and whatnot. I'll be playing Elonian Anders, also known as Father Anders, also known as Preacher Man. He goes from town to town, city to city, spreading the great glorious words of Paylor and his ability to shine light in the darkest area, to bring light to the darkest souls. He's always in need of followers, always in need of the faithful, and always in need of some coin.
Nice.
Elonian Anders is a human rogue who goes about pretending to be a cleric of Paylor.
Awesome. Cool. All right, so Andrew, you're up next.
Awesome. I am going to be playing Psilocybin. He is a nature paladin hermit. He's been out in the forest for countless years. He doesn't exhibit normal social behavior, and he's around 160 years old, looking like a pretty feeble man.
Nice. You said it was a paladin?
Yes.
Cool, thanks. All right, and the other Andrew.
Yeah, that just leaves me. I'm playing Naylindel, Wood Elf Ranger, Outlander background, and basically he's just got a hate on for orcs. He was, as a child, close to the orc cookpot, and got loose and shot one of the orc chieftains in the eye. He only had one eye to begin with, so that pretty much did him in, and he got away from there, and that's about it. This is my first time on any kind of online game, so.
Nice. Welcome. Yeah, well, this is my first time running one, definitely. So, we'll all see how it goes. But that's cool. Just a couple of things. If you guys want to use Dice Stream, you can. If you want to use real dice, either way, I'm good for either. So, cool.
What is Dice Stream?
Dice Stream is one of the apps that we have available.
Okay, I see it on the side there.
Yeah. So, kind of shows like that. You can roll, dice on there. So either way.
Okay.
Yeah. But cool. All right. Well, we'll get started. You guys, and I'm going to share with you the image of the city that you guys are in. You guys, well, if it'll work for me here, let's see. Let me see. You guys went into what was known as the city of San Reservoir. Hopefully you can see that. It's a port city, major, sort of the major capital city, as well as a hangout for pirates. You guys had all gone there for whatever reason, and let me see if... Can you see it now? No,
I just see a
Yeah, we just see like an elf character.
Oh, you do? All right, no worries. Well, no big deal. Anyway, you guys are in a port city. It's called San Reservoir, and you guys went into, an inn for whatever reason. You guys were here, for your own reasons. You entered the inn known as the Piece of Eight, and the patron there was this sort of fat dwarf named Felden Welby. He was a jolly guy, friendly, whatever. You guys were there for your own reasons. You entered in the middle of the day. You did your business. It's now about the middle of the night, and you guys wake up. And I'll give you just the text here. So, thunder crashes outside, and a heavy rain pelts the window of your room as an uneasy slumber is shattered by a piercing scream from below you. The scream is filled with terror and pain, and it jolts you upright. You look around your room, the fog of sleep dissipating from your eyes as the adrenaline surges through your veins. You look to your companions, whom you shared the room with, because it was one of these inns that was very small. There was not, and very busy city. And you see looks of alarm and shock, on all their faces as well. You quickly gather your belongings and exit your room into the hallway, where the rest, everybody else is, you kind of all there. You all share worried glances and head down the stairs. After another blood-curdling stream rips through the night, you run down the stairs to the common room below, and you can hear it coming from below. It's empty except for the form of a man with his back to you, bent over the bar. You assume it to be Felden Welby, the jolly fat owner of the Piece of Eight Tavern. It seems strange that he'd be having his meal hunched over behind the counter, but before you have time to question it, you see him slowly stand and turn to face you. The scene that greets you is like something out of a nightmare. Fresh blood dripping from the mouth of the horror that was Felden. Pale, decayed skin, rotting and broken, only add to the horror. A piece of partially eaten flesh hanging from his mouth, he lets out a feral growl and starts quickly shambling around the counter. So the first thing we're going to do is have you guys roll initiative. And if you can, go ahead and
got a
post it in
10.
the chat. CeeLo got a 10? Nice.
Ellen has a 20.
I got a 20 as well here.
Nice. 20. All right. So, Nailendel and Fallon both have 20, so which one of you guys would like to act first?
I rolled a 16 on the dice, so it does that make any difference?
Right.
Yeah, I rolled
Either
16
way.
at the same time, so it doesn't really matter.
All right. Well, one of you guys can decide what you want to do. You notice that he's shambling around the bar. He's coming at you, and his skin is all desiccated and decayed, like I mentioned before. But he's got some speed. He's coming at you pretty quick, which is somewhat surprising. And you can tell that he's definitely out for blood. So.
Okay. I'm not taking any chances. The bows are getting drawn back, and he's going to take one in the chest.
Alrighty. Yep.
So
go ahead.
I've got the archery fighting style, so
Yep.
my longbow bonus is +8.
All right. Yep. Go for it.
I rolled a 5 on the die, so that's 13.
All right. Yeah, you hit him. Yep. He's not difficult to hit. So.
And he takes 8 points of damage.
All right. 8 points of damage, and as your arrow pierces into him, you see it. He kind of, it sticks into his chest, and he kind of hesitates for just a second as he's coming at you, and then it seems to have very little effect on him, and he, still comes at you. So, I think Isaiah, you're up next.
Alrighty, so Fallon is going to survey the situation and look at the this ex-bartender, now turned monster, and decide that he's going to retreat into the most shadowed part of the bar in hopes of getting some kind of sneak attack in the next round.
Okay. Yep, that's fine. You can definitely do that.
Yeah, so I'm in
All
shadow.
right. Nice. Okay. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. You don't even have to roll for that, so that's fine. All right. So, Psilocybin, you go ahead and act next.
All right. Psilocybin will look around to his party and be like, I think it was something he ate, and take out his whip and go to whip him.
All right. Nice.
And 8 to hit.
You slash at him with your whip, and for some reason, you have this almost like you stumble as you're coming forward, and you nearly strike Nailendel as you with your whip as you are trying to attack this guy, but you just managed to miss. So
Sorry about that, guys. My joints ain't what they used to be.
Felden, yeah, nice. Felden acts next, and he lunges at Nailendel, seeing as how he was the one who shot him. And what's your armor class?
16.
Oh, he actually
wearing studded leather.
Yeah, wow. He actually hits you, so he kind of slashes at you with this melee slash, from his claws, dealing you 5 points of damage. And then as he slashes at you with one hand, he goes to bite you with the other, but you kind of manage to push him, even though you're kind of reeling from his slash, and he doesn't manage to bite you. However, I do need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. That's not good. 6.
Sorry, what'd you get? A 6?
6.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah.
So as his claws rake you, you feel for a minute like, it's intensely painful, like more painful than you would expect. And then all of a sudden you hear in your mind this screaming, and this like sort of, I need blood. So that, and this pain is just coursing through you. So you back up, and then our fake preacher is up next in the initiative order. Elonian.
Elonian. He pulls out this holy symbol of Paylor. It's a sun disk, but it's mounted on a cross, which is pretty odd. And he holds it up, puffs his chest out. By the holy light of the glory of Paylor, burn, creature! And he creates a bonfire at the creature's feet.
Oh shit.
So the creature has to roll Dex save DC 13.
DC 13, alright. And he does not.
And he takes 3 points of fire damage.
3 points of fire damage, nice. Now bonfire, that's one of the...
flames cleanse you!
Nice. And as you see the bonfire alight in the middle of this tavern, and start catching it on fire, he definitely is consumed by the flames. Although he's not dead, the flames are definitely starting to, to take him down. So that's awesome. So he has now gotten to a point where he can't exactly shriek out. He doesn't have a language, but you can see in his eyes where they were dead before. There's a little bit of like a spark of black kind of light behind his eyes. And with that, we're back to Nailendel, top of the order.
Yeah, so I'm not feeling too hot with this claw scratch I got here, so I'm going to try to use my Cure Wound spell on myself
Okay.
and see if that does anything to alleviate the pain at all. So it will give, I get 4 hit points back from that, from the 5 that I took. And does it make me feel any better?
Yes, it does. It makes you feel a lot better. You don't actually feel that burning, and that sensation in your head has gone away. So that was, yeah, good that you had that spell.
I only have 3 spell slots available for the day, so hopefully I don't get in any trouble.
Nice, nice. Now, casting that spell, I believe, would take up your attack action. You can still move if you wish. Yep.
Well, if he's right there in front of me with an arrow in him and he's on fire, I'm going to try and get back as far as I can. Hopefully to somewhere closer to the exit of the building, or if there's a window or anything like that.
Because absolutely.
This place is going to go up in flames. We're going to have to get out of here.
Yep. So you, you kind of back away, and as you back away, he kind of takes like a half-hearted slash at you, but totally misses. I mean, you're way more graceful, and you just kind of disengage out of the way. And yeah, the flames are starting to creep up a little higher onto his body. You back away towards one of the tables. Kind of off to your left is going to be the door to the common room. But you're fine. You can, you're kind of out of range at this point. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So Thalon, you're up next.
So so the tavern is going up in flames, like it's done, right? Pretty much.
It's starting to. I mean, it's only been a few seconds since the spell was cast, but yes, things are starting to catch on fire. You can see the flames starting to kind of rise up on the bar behind the zombie, and the floor is starting to catch a little bit.
Alrighty then. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I imagine since he's moving forward, I'm behind him now because I'm still in the shadows.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Yep.
Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to spring from the shadows for a sneak attack, which adds 2d6 damage to my, if I hit it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go for it.
11?
Yeah, you hit.
Alrighty, nice.
Yeah, so he's not hard to hit.
Alright, so that's 3d6 because I have the short sword.
Yep.
So that is 11 damage.
Perfect. So why don't you do this for me? Describe how you kill this zombie.
Okay, so what I decided to do was I decided to back in towards where the stools were, and I imagine this place has a second floor, so it's covered by the shadows, and just before, like right when the light starts igniting and reveals my presence, I jump from the shadows and head towards the door, but on my way I unsheath my short sword and just cleave off the zombie's head and then start heading for the door.
Nice. Awesome. All right, so yeah, I mean, you guys are out of combat at this point. The inn is starting to catch fire, so what are you guys going to do?
Hey guys, we roasting marshmallows?
I dismiss my bonfire.
Nice. All right, and I'm assuming because it's magical flame, then all of the fire would just dissipate?
That's entirely up to you. But
yeah, all right, well, that's the way I'm going to play it. So, yes, because it was a magical fire, the flame does seem to dissipate. The effects of the inn being on fire are still there, so there's lots of ash and soot. They're blackened, but there is no more active fire. The inn is not on fire anymore.
So as all the fire in the inn goes forward, I play it up and goes, "His lord does not burn the faithful. Why run?"
Excellent. So what do you guys want to do?
I'm going to search his body.
Okay. Yeah, you You don't find much of value on his body, although you do know that he was behind the bar counter and he came out, but he doesn't really have much on him. And as you're searching his body, it's all kind of squishy and disgusting. His flesh peels away as you're sort of searching through his pockets. You find a couple of gold pieces, but not much of value.
I swing behind the bar counter,
Okay.
and you know, I'll set up a few drinks for anyone there. That was an ordeal. We should. And while I'm sort of setting up these drinks, I'm trying to look for any sort of land title or establishment deed that I can find for this place.
Sure, sure. So as you kind of step behind the bar, you almost trip on the form of Adelind, the serving girl that was there before. Got a large chunk of flesh, bit right out of her neck. She appears to be dead on the ground, but yeah, there's blood everywhere. But yes, if you wish to continue, kind of looking around, setting up drinks and all that, you do see a strong box kind of under the counter. It does, it is locked, but there is something there. You're not sure quite what it is.
I will definitely use my thieves' tools on that strongbox.
All right, you can do that.
And
Well,
what role would that be for?
So I apparently told him, hey, look, here's a strong box.
If you want, yeah.
I guess it already happened.
So I believe, what is it in
I would
fifth?
say
Is
like
it
sleight of hand, maybe?
sleight of hand? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
sleight of
still
hand.
sleight of hand. And if you're a rogue, you should have proficiency.
Yes.
So
Alrighty, so that is a 22.
yeah. So yeah, you open it, and you guys do see inside. You don't see a deed or anything to the tavern, but there are a couple of vials of blue liquid. Two. There is also a pouch of gold, and if you guys search through it, it's about 250 gold. So decent for a tavern keeper's. Nightly haul, so to speak.
As we're rifling through there, I'm like, be careful there. There must be some sort of enchanted item in here.
Nice.
So
Nice.
It's either in this
So-
pouch or, and I sort of shoo him away. He goes, please, friend, the holy light of Palor protects me. You might not fare as well as me. And he starts, he'll put the pouch under his shirt, and then the blue liquid in his inside jacket pocket.
Yep.
I take myself one or two of the drinks that Preacher Man offered up on the bar there, and I just let them know that the scratch that I got in the fight with this guy was no regular wound, so just let them know to beware and have a few more of those drinks.
Alrighty, so what I do is I take my drink and I smell it and I say, oh, this isn't good at all, and I pour it on his wound to disinfect it.
Nice.
Just
All right.
instinctively. Just
So
go
you
like,
saying you spill your drink on me?
I legit just like I just go, oh, and then just spill it on your wound.
Oh snap! Nice. All
That
right.
should get
Awesome. Nelson, what is your passive perception?
Yeah, that's an astounding 11.
All right. Wow. Holy crap. So as all of this is going on, you actually.
We already know what's happening.
Yeah, you sense some movement next to you, and you see the form of Adeline, the girl, start to rise, and she lets out this typical zombie sound, and she attempts to kind of grapple you as she's coming up, but you're aware of her, so you can act first.
Hey, this looks like she just wants a hug.
I step back and I'm like, back, foul creature, back! And I present this holy symbol of Palor once again. Somehow the sun disk is mounted on the top of a cross. We know not why, but burn, and I create another bonfire right on
nice.
top of her.
Sweet. All right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Deck save. Is she prone when I create the bonfire, or is she standing
Yeah.
up?
No, she didn't stand up. She's on her way getting up. Yeah.
Okay, so she takes 2 points of fire damage.
Nice. All right. Yeah,
And
and
I just back
definitely.
away.
All right. Yep, you back away. There's somewhat limited space, but yeah, you're able to back away enough that oh shit. Now,
Well, I'll hop over this bow counter if I have to.
all right. Yeah, well, so as you're doing, you kind of back away, and then she kind of, while on fire, her clothes burning, her face kind of, has fire all on it. She manages to sort of lurch up pretty quickly, and she does kind of leap at you. So yeah, if you want to sort of leap over the bar,
I'm going over the bar. I'm like, it's a trap! It's a trap!
Nice. Go ahead and give me. I guess that would be acrobatics or athletics, either way, whichever's better for you.
Well, I rolled it. Where the hell did I put my character sheet? Oh, it's on my keyboard. Duh. Yeah, I would prefer acrobatics as to athletics, and at this point in time, I get a total of 11.
All right, so you're able to kind of scramble up over the bar, not too gracefully, and as you're sort of, you couldn't leap it in one fell swoop, but you jump up onto the top, and then as you're about to jump down, she slashes at you with her claws, which she didn't have a moment before. And what's your armor class?
14.
14. Okay. Ooh,
I'm just wearing what looks to be leather clothing with a leather coat, and it looks almost like priest vestments, but in black leather instead.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And it's excessively padded in certain areas.
Yep.
So it just looks like a leather jacket and stuff, but it's actually leather armor.
Okay. Sweet. Well, she actually manages to hit you, and dealing 5 points of damage as she kind of rakes you with her claw, and you'll need to make a Constitution saving throw as well.
What?
Oh yeah.
Oh Jesus, these zombies are brutal.
What? I'm gonna start rolling my regular dice because Dice Stream hates me.
I know, right? No, that's cool.
I know, that's what I did.
Yep.
Dice Stream's horrible.
Yeah, I was using Dice Stream a second ago because I was eating. So.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, we'll stay with that 4 as I horribly fail and probably lose my character right away.
Well, you don't lose your character right away, but you do have that same experience. You feel this just searing pain more than you would expect from this type of wound, and you do still hear that blood, need blood in your head. But you manage to leap over the bar, and you're good to go. And so I think what we're going to do at this point, if you guys want, is we're going to just stick with the initiative order, but you can go ahead first.
If the zombie ends inside of my bonfire, she has to roll another deck save.
Okay. Yep.
So,
shit. Wow, she made it.
All right.
So does she take half damage or no damage? If she...
No, it's only a cantrip.
No,
It's
okay.
all or nothing.
Gotcha. All right. Yep. So she does manage to make the dexterity save and kind of sidles her way out of the fire, coming around the bar. And I figure we'll stick with initiative order, unless you guys want to re-roll initiative.
If she's coming for me, I don't want to go last again. Nah, go. I'll stick with it. I don't care.
All right. Cool. Yeah. So then we'll put Nailendel as up next.
Okay. Is there anybody in my line of fire between me and her?
Well, no. I mean, you could move out of the way very easily to avoid shooting anyone. So.
Okay. I just make sure that nobody's there, and I'm gonna take a shot at her with my longbow.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a 16 on the dice. So.
Yeah, you definitely hit.
She takes 5 points of damage.
All right, sweet. So yeah, you managed to bury the arrow right into her neck, and she just kind of staggers back for a minute, and then just kind of keeps her movement going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just as an off note, is there any chance of me retrieving any of the arrows that I shoot at these people, like without having them damaged?
Rules wise, you're allowed to retrieve only half.
Yeah.
Half. Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
good to me. I'll just keep
So,
track of that.
yeah, absolutely. So Fallon, you're up next.
All right, so a quick question. What I wanted to do is I wanted to throw 2 of my daggers straight at her. Can I do that, or can I only throw 1?
Yeah, you can throw 2. What would happen in this case is your second attack, you would not add your proficiency bonus.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah, unless, well, no, because 2-weapon fighting is only for melee, right?
Yeah, it's only for melee.
Yeah. So, but yes, you can do that.
Alrighty, so that's 2D. That's 2D d20s, right?
Yeah.
Okay then. 1 is a 17 and 1 is a 19.
Oh yeah. Wow, they both hit. Yeah, stick with those dice, right?
Yeah, like holy shit, holy.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay, and that's D4. So.
I train my dice religiously, so you know. No.
Right, so
I don't know. It's something about regular dice. Even when
Yeah.
you roll low, at least it's that tactile feeling, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So the first dagger, I got 2 for the first dagger, essentially 6 damage all in total. And the first dagger like plunges itself into her stomach, while the other one sort of hits right into her cheek, like.
Nice. And I think with daggers, I forget what the terminology is, but because they're finesse weapons, essentially, I think you can add is that right? You can add your dexterity modifier to the
You can
damage.
choose. It's choice. Because it's a finessable weapon, you can choose.
Okay.
And if you were to get a sneak attack, you could do so with a dagger, whether in melee or thrown.
Oh yeah, then absolutely I will add to that. Yeah. So
Okay.
my dexterity bonus is a 4, so altogether that's 10 points of damage.
Nice. All right, and yeah, you actually are able to kill her. So if you want to describe the killing blow, you can.
All right, so I take that back. It does this whole like blinks the cat rewind, and so the second dagger just plunges right into her eye socket, just killing the brain, and she just falls over dead. And I'm like, I don't even know if I want to touch those anymore.
Nice. But yeah, so she's down for the count. So you're good to go.
Zombie Slayer right here.
Nice. All right, so you look around. You don't notice any visible creatures around you anywhere in the inn. However, as you look outside, I mean, it is nighttime. It is raining really hard. There's lots of thunder, so it's difficult to tell kind of what's going on. But you can clearly see movement in the streets outside. So, what would you guys like to do?
I'd like to pour one of those drinks on my wound.
Nice.
Dark magics, evil beings.
Right, I want to roll perception to see if I can see through the rain in the window.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you can do that. Nelson, you managed to pour a drink on yourself. Your wound burns, but not because of the drink, just because it sucks because you got hit with by a zombie that's really nasty. But you do actually take 1 point of Constitution damage. As this wound, is you feel this flare of just like pain and fire inside you, and for a minute it's like your eyes go black and you just have this vision of just like blood in front of your eyes, and then your head clears. But and so the way I'm gonna deal Constitution damage, I'm not going to say you take any hit point damage or you have to reduce hit points. It's just if you get down to 0 Constitution, you're essentially dead, and you have to make a saving throw.
Right,
I run back to the room and go, I quit, and take a nap.
Okay, do that.
Alright, so I am rolling perception now.
Sure.
That first bad roll of the day. That is a 9.
Yeah, it really is difficult to see. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, if you've ever seen sort of old like medieval glass. It's not usually super clear anyway. And so beyond that, with the rain just cascading down outside, you can see like I said, vague movement, but you can't tell specifically, if there's anything, a specific shape or anything like that.
All right, so I look out to the window and I only see moving shapes. So I say, "Wow, I didn't think this bar fight was popular enough to draw a crowd."
Nice.
So, are we aware that these two, the innkeeper and his servant girl, were turned into zombies, or do we just know that something freaky is happening here?
So yeah, so basically, you guys obviously that they were turned into zombies because they were zombies and they attacked you, but
Okay.
you don't know why.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, when you entered the city the day before, everyone was normal. There were no zombies, so you woke up to this. Yeah. Now, if anyone has either divine or magical means to attempt to find out why this may have happened, they can certainly do that, or they can pretend to do that, one way or another.
Yeah, that's beyond my scope.
I take my shot.
All right.
I had poured it on my wound, so I poured myself another glass and kick one back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, this is a pirate tavern, so they have good drinks because it's dangerous not to. So yeah, you're drinking some good stuff.
Yeah, only the best.
Yeah.
To settle to ease my unsettled mind.
Nice.
I tell Preacher Man there if he's feeling the effects and he could use a little bit of healing, I'd be more than happy to do that.
It was this wound, yes. This zombie must have been intensely vile, more so than the first. Palor has yet to heal me of this wound.
Nice.
Okay, well, I'll do a cure wound spell on him as well, and
Yep.
that'll bring back 8 hit points.
Oh, wonderful.
Nice. And you do feel cured of the disease that you assume was infecting you. It is no longer infecting you.
Okay, so I want to walk behind the back of the counter, and I want to pick up the most alcohol-proof drink that I think I can find.
Yeah,
the strongest one.
Absolutely. So you go behind the bar and you notice this sort of cask of it's like an oak barrel, and it has this golden dragon symbol on it, and you know that was a particularly delicious brew that the dwarves made called Guldendrak. It's quite rare, and you know that it hasn't been tapped yet, so it's quite legendary actually for its potency. So you can knock that back if you want.
Alright, so I'm going to pick up that, I assume it'd be like a bottle, or...
No, it's almost like a keg, but I mean, he's got the stuff back there. It'd be easy to tap it. So.
Okay, so yeah, I essentially just pick up like a bottle-shaped like glass or whatever, and I start pouring the drink out, and I don't drink it. I just look at it and study it intently.
Okay.
It's like, good taste, boy. Good. What are you doing?
Right.
I grab a couple of bottles of cheaper liquor and I pour them out.
Yeah.
And then I pour that into the bottles.
All right.
I store two of those bottles for myself, and I take. What I'll do is I'll take 3 more bottles of their cheapest liquor.
Yeah.
And I'll start talking to the bottles, right? Making a show of it, like, oh, by the light of Palor, bless us. We need your help in these dark times. Let your light guide us. And I'll stick my finger one by one in each bottle and cast light on the liquid inside.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, and you do. And so you've now essentially created glowing bottles.
So I'll for the darkness outside, let Palor's light guide you, and I'll hand one by one to all the other adventurers, and re-utter the same thing for the darkness of the night, let Palor's light guide you again and again and again, until everybody has one of these glowing bottles.
And
Nice.
so I look at the preacher and I say, how much light does Palor have? He must have an awful lot to have it for all of us.
Palor is grand. He is the god of the sun. Without him, there would be no life. As you can see in the darkness of night, the dead rise. This would not happen under Palor's light. Foolishness.
I thank him for the effort, but my dark vision will do just fine, thanks. And while he's doing this, I'm looking, we're in the common room. Is there any other exits here to maybe a kitchen other than the main exit in the front? Is there another room down here?
Yeah, well, so you came down the stairs, so obviously that's the entrance up. Then there's the main door out, and then behind the bar there is a door.
Okay. That's one thing I think we should do is at least check other exits just in case we need to make a hasty retreat here. So I'm going to let them know that I'm going to check out the back if anybody wants to come with me. And I'll put my bow away for now. I'll just take out my 2 short swords and have them ready as I open the door behind the bar.
Yeah, well, since you have embraced the darkness, friend, you may go before me. As I'm
Nice.
using I'm holding both bottles right now, just
Yeah,
shedding
so-
light. I'll
So-
stay a little bit behind him.
Fallon
Yeah.
decides to walk up to the stairs from where they ran down when they heard the screaming, and essentially just take a seat and watch the front door intently with the bottle still in hand. And he looks down and he says, "All right, 1 sip," and takes one small sip.
Nice, awesome. And you take a sip, and it burns as it's going down. I mean, but it hurts so good. Like it is just what's your race again? You said it was elf.
Dark elf draft.
Dark elf. Yeah. Okay. So the shame of drinking dwarven, made liquor is instantly gone. It's you're like, wow, this is amazing. I do need you to make me a Constitution save.
That is an 8.
Okay. So as it's going down, you're like, and it burns, and as you cough, tendrils of smoke and a little bit of fire comes out of your lips. And I'll just tell you, Golden Drakh, one of the things that it does is gives you the ability to deal 1d4 fire damage as a breath weapon for about an hour. So.
What?
Okay, wow. I am changing my entire plan, and I am holding on to that.
Glad I got me a couple of bottles of that.
Yeah. Okay. So, but are you still seated on the stairs, or did you get up?
So I'm like coughing out the fire, and I almost fall off the stairs because of the sun and fire, because of the sun and flames. But I managed to regain my posture. And I'm just like, and I look at the bottom like,
Yeah.
gee, oh my god.
Because you rolled so low, your actions for at least the next few rounds will be at disadvantage, just so you know. So this stuff, packs a nasty punch, but you can breathe fire, which is kind of cool. So Nalindo, you kind of head back behind the bar. You open the door. It goes into the kitchen, where they would be preparing the meals and all that. There's nobody in there. It's quite clean. You see, that it's well taken care of. You get the impression that either the cook doesn't live at the inn, she comes in or out, or one of the two actually acts as the cook as well that were there. So, you kind of look around. I mean, it's a typical, kitchen. There are food stores there, loaves of bread, stuff like that, but nothing out of the ordinary or nothing that looks particularly valuable.
Okay, is there any other exit out of the kitchen to the outside, or is it just the door in here from the bar and that's it? It's
You notice a sort of a door like kind of cut into the floor, almost like a trap door, like where there might be a basement.
okay.
And as you go to search that,
Yeah, I
you
don't
kind of
quite want to go into the basement yet by myself, but
yeah, no, that's fine. But Fallon, you start to notice even through your sort of alcohol-induced, dizziness, you can hear kind of scratching and thumping at the front door, um, like somebody's trying to enter.
So okay, so what I'm going to do is what I'm going to do is who's still in the room with me? Is preacher is Father Andrew still in the room with me?
I was following our friend that embraces the darkness as he does, and but I was a little bit behind him, so I would have said like maybe 15, 20 feet behind him. So if that leaves me in the same room, let me know. If it doesn't, then I'm not.
No, so if you had sort of followed him, but just at a little bit of a distance, the kitchen is big enough that you would have at least been standing in the doorway, but you probably would have gone in a little bit, just kind of looking around in the room. So in the common area, it's just Fallon and Syl or psilocybin.
Alright then. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at Simon and I'm going to say, Simon, warn the others, this place can go up in flames. And I start making my way towards the door, and I grab the handle, I open it, and I immediately just blow out fire from my mouth. Alright, so
Nice.
that's... Do I have an advantage on that? I mean, not a...
No,
not...
in fact, you have disadvantage
Yeah,
because,
disadvantage.
yeah, so.
That's a 4.
Okay. Despite the fact that you rolled a 4, you open the door and there are a mass of zombies right there, and you still manage to belch fire into the face of one of them right away. Just drops. But the others kind of all let out that but these ones look different than the ones that you had just fought. They're very much more decayed. You can see, bones are broken, their clothes are ripped a lot more, but there's a whole hell of a lot of them standing out there. Fortunately, only one could kind of get through at a time, and that one just fell. But yeah, there's a bunch of them standing right out front.
Alrighty then. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start backing back up to the stairs and just waiting for the zombies to sort of pile into that one room. And I'm going to be going back up the stairs as I'm like moving backwards.
Okay. All right. Splitting the party. Yes. No. And what would our interesting paladin like to do, seeing as the zombies are standing in the door and the drow kind of backs up and, essentially the zombies are going to come in?
Yeah, I'll follow him.
Up the stairs? Okay.
Yeah, I'll follow him up the stairs back.
So what I'll do, I'll have Nailendel and the preacher.
Oh.
No, yeah, well, yeah, no.
Sorry.
I want Andrew, I want you and Nelson to roll perception checks for me.
Straight 17.
11.
All right. Yeah. So Paylor is generous to you, and you kind of notice, Nelson, that you can hear something going on in the other room. You hear what sounds like a, and then you hear the coming from the other room, back from where you came from the comm room. The
Yeah, well, if I hear the zombie growls and some commotion, it sounds like those vile beasts are rising in that room again, and I'll just I'll check it out.
All right.
So I see the door open, and zombies from through the threshold of the door.
Mm-hmm.
About how
Yep.
far away from the door am I?
You would be probably about 30 feet away from the
Oh,
door at this
beautiful.
point.
So I'll get to the door,
Yeah.
right? I'll
Mm-hmm.
have like the two bottles of lit liquid, right,
Mhm.
cradled in one hand, and then I'll present the holy symbol again. Burned by the light of Palor, foul beast! Create a bonfire just outside the door, just in front of the door, and then use my foot to go and close the door.
And close the door. All right.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. No, you do that. You kind of actually,
And
as
then I'll
you,
use my bonus action to move back 30 feet.
yeah, nice. Yeah, no, as you close the door, you actually squish the head of the zombie that had fallen in the first attack, and it just kind of, all over the place. You can hear the groaning outside, but the door, you can hear that banging on the door again, like they heard before. So it sounds like they're trying to get in.
Well, they're
Still.
burning, so there's that. So hopefully they'll die enough to barricade the door from themselves. But what I'll
Right.
do when I take my canny action back, run forward, do that whole spiel, come back. Which one of you fools open the door?
Yeah, nice.
Me.
Explains a lot, it does.
Did you find anything in the kitchen?
Well, no, I heard the commotion and came straight away.
And who else is left in the? Who did he leave in the kitchen, or did he follow?
Yeah,
preacher?
after I heard Preacher Man talking and let me know that there was others coming through the door, I'll sheathe my swords and come into the common room again, and yeah, I'll let Preacher Man know at least that I saw looked like a trap door in the kitchen. So if we want to take an alternate route out, we've got one. But I don't think staying in here is the best plan.
Yeah, and to punctuate your words, as you say that, the windows kind of next to the door smash, and you can see, these creatures, have smashed the windows. One of them kind of falls over the window pane from the momentum, and is actually cut by some of the glass, and it starts to bleed a little bit. But you see the ones behind him trying to push and trying to get through the windows, and you hear you start seeing the door start to rattle on its hinges. But there's also this they're sort of illuminated by the fire outside, and you kind of quickly catch a glimpse of they're almost stepping on top of their fallen foes trying to get in through these windows. So that bonfire did some damage.
Yeah. There's tables and chairs and stuff here, right?
Yeah.
I'll wait. I have it right. Yeah. I'll use the the holy symbol and just point it at a chair and flick my hand towards one of these windows, and I'll use my my mage hand, which for arcane tricksters is invisible.
Mm-hmm.
I just use that. By Palor's might, we must bar the doors, and I'll flick a chair, at the door, and if we're there for any extended period of time, I'll start flicking more chairs until it starts making a pile.
Nice, nice.
I'm still concentrating on the bonfire just outside the door too.
Yep. Yeah. So the chair kind of goes flying at the door. Because you only have 5 pounds of pressure, it doesn't smash as it hits the door, but it kind of just
The
scoots along.
windows, the chairs.
Oh,
I'm trying
you're doing it
to barricade the windows now while I'm maintaining the bonfire just outside of the door.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So then in that case, yeah, the chair kind of goes flying at. Are you doing a number of them, or can you only do one kind of at a?
Well, it's only 5 pounds, so I'm assuming I can only do one at a time.
Yeah. So one at a time. All right. So you kind of at the nearest window to you kind of just throw this chair at it, and it actually kind of hits. It goes flying up, and one of the legs hits the zombie that's coming in and kind of impales right into his into his skull, and the zombie falls backwards, and the chair kind of falls down in front of the window. But yeah, so you took out a zombie with a chair. Pretty cool. So they're still trying to get in, but yeah, what do you guys want to do?
At this point, I say, the tavern is lost, gentlemen. You said there was a trapdoor? And I just point to Andrew.
Yeah, well, I didn't check it out, but there was a trapdoor in the kitchen. I didn't hear any noises coming from the basement, so I think that might be at least something to check before they start piling in here, and I head back in
Alright,
to the kitchen area.
Alright, so I say, good, hold this, and I just give him the golden drac, and I start heading towards the trapdoor. Just give it to him and to just start bolting.
Nice.
I grab it.
And,
all right,
I'm going
and you
to
can
check
deduce what it does, so yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to check the trapdoor to see if it's locked.
Okay, it is not locked.
Okay, then. So then I go back to Andrew and take the golden drug back. Thank you.
Nice.
And so I say, everyone head to the trapdoor. You, preacher, keep the fire going as long as possible outside that door.
Cowardly heathen! Wait, is there anyone else in this tavern, or it was just... Because you said we had a common room, because this place was busy, but small.
So yeah, well, so there's nobody else down here in the common room. When you went to sleep the night before, yes, the rooms were occupied as far as you know.
So, as far as we know, there's still guests here.
Yeah,
Right?
you could deduce that nothing
So-
has,
Yeah.
made itself, known to you, but yes, you could deduce that there were guests.
So yeah, he yells out, "Cowardly heathen! You would run from this and leave the other guests to their fate?"
If they know how to wield a sword, they can fend for themselves.
And if they don't, that's probably why they haven't come down yet. They're frozen in fear.
I just keep silent and I wait and I say, wait, keep silent. Say that doesn't make any sense. I should say,
Right.
just keep the fire going for as long as you can. You two head to the trapdoor as soon as possible.
I'll look at the other adventurers. I'm like, you would dare follow this heathen?
I'm not following anybody. I'm checking that trap door. I'm going to open it up and at least have a listen before I go down there. Use my perception to see if I hear anything down there.
Yeah. Right before he goes, I say, look at that bruise on your arm. Do you want that on your face? Like drunkenly.
Nice. Yeah, no, I mean, hey, if Preacher Man wants to go up the stairs and check it out, I'm all for that. But
Well, apparently I have to hold the fort solo now. This is
I'm looking for an escape route, not just for myself, but for everyone.
Oh, just so you know, CeeLo, I am not strong. I am not well built. All right, I am far from a muscly man.
Oh, I don't give a fuck about you.
nice. But yeah, no. So, Nailendale, you kind of open the trap door and you see it's a basement. I mean, it's a that's where they would keep the barrels and the wine and some of the food stores and whatever. So there's stairs going down there. It's very very normal, very common. And you don't hear any sounds coming from down there. So.
Okay, I have my bow drawn as I walk down the stairs, my eyes peeled, and just once I get down there, I'm going to look to see if there's an outside exit to this place. They're going to have to bring stocks and whatnot in from somewhere.
Nice. All right, yeah. In the meantime, the fire outside is clearly consuming zombies, but it seems as though there is no shortage of zombies trying to get in, and now their fervor is picked up. As the Preacher Man is hurling chairs essentially at the windows, or
left alone preparing for the withdrawal, what the
Yeah.
preacher man is going to be doing is interchanging between casting light on the liquid inside the cheaper of the bottles,
Yeah.
and then tossing the bottles outside to splash that liquid on all the zombies to basically make them all lit up. So if we start running, we always know where they are.
All right. Yeah, cool. No, definitely. So yeah, that's what happens. And so you start seeing some of these zombies glowing with magical light, illuminated as well by the fire. But they start, a couple of them start, kind of climbing in the windows, and the door finally breaks on its hinges. And you would say a good, 10 zombies just kind of, spill into the room.
Alrighty.
Um,
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to are the other two at the trap door essentially?
They are, however, before you act, I want to see what psilocybin wants to do.
Okay.
Since he was still technically in the common room.
How close am I to Anders?
Well, you were at the stairs. At this point, it would not be difficult for you to either make it to the front door or make it to behind the bar counter without incurring a fight.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hide behind the bar counter for now.
Nice. All right. Yep. So you kind of run over there and sort of duck behind it. It's clear that the zombies saw you, but they're very slow. These ones are just shambling. Like you can see some of them, have broken legs, broken ankles. So some of them really shouldn't even be able to walk, and some of them can't. Some of them are just dragging themselves across the floor with their hands. But yeah, you're behind the bar.
Awesome.
As the other companions, you have entered the kitchen, and the Andrew, you're playing an elf, right? Nailendell's an elf.
Yeah, wood elf.
Wood elf. Okay, yep. As the elf has descended into the stairs below the trap door.
Alrighty, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to warn everyone in the room. Cover your ears. And I pick up the golden rock and I hurl it straight into the crowd of zombies.
Nice.
Hoping it gives the biggest explosion. Alright, and do I
Yep,
still
you
I still have
hurl
these?
it. You don't have to roll or anything. You do hurl it, and the glass just kind of like smacks one of the zombies right in the head. That doesn't break the bottle, but the zombie kind of falls backwards, and then the bottle falls to the ground. And for a minute, nothing happens. It's just kind of, just kind of pooling on the floor. But one of the zombies had come in, and it's, kind of pant legs. What was left of it was on fire from the bonfire, and it lights the alcohol, and the entire room basically goes up in flame at this point. As this fire is clearly way more powerful than it should have been. But so the whole inside of the common room is now aflame, and the zombies are being consumed by it. And it's getting hot behind that bar counter.
Alrighty. So then after I toss that, literally right after I toss that rock, the bottle, I literally dive for the trapdoor and just run down.
Nice.
Is there a door between the common room and the kitchen area?
Yeah.
Yeah, before I leave, I mage hand that door shut.
Nice. All right, absolutely. And I'm assuming psilocybin leaves behind the bar counter and goes in, follows the rest of the companions?
Yeah.
And we're just
Hey, guys,
hoping that
wait for
there's an
me.
actual.
And if you
Yeah,
forget, I mage hand the door shut again.
Yeah. Nice. He forgets. I still
we're
made
just hoping
change.
there's a-
Nice.
Hoping there's an
Um,
actual exit outside of this basement.
Yeah, and there is. You actually see there are stairs leading up, and there's like in any kind of typical basement, it would be the two doors that would open up onto the street.
Yep.
it's where the goods would be delivered into the basement. Yeah.
Is there a
Were
lock
there
on those doors?
Yeah, well, there's not a lock. It's just one of the it's just a bar that goes down over two things. So it would lock it, but I mean, you can just lift the bar off.
Yeah.
were there any windows at all in this area we're in, or is it completely shut in?
No, there are no windows. It's completely shut in. Yeah. Now, did you throw both of your bottles, or did you still have one of your light bottles with you?
Well, those light bottles I kept. Remember, I was
Okay.
interchanging between casting light
Right.
on liquid of others and then throwing that one,
Yeah.
one by one, instead of building the barricade, because,
Right.
trying to build
Right.
a barricade by myself and maintain a bonfire and, hold the fort solo
Right.
wasn't as easy as some people might have think it was.
Right. Nice.
You made it
Nice.
look
Okay.
easy, though. You made it look easy.
Yeah. That bonfire is badass. So okay, yeah. So you can see because you have one of the bottles. It's not pitch black. The elf has no problem seeing, and the drow wouldn't either down in the darkness. But you do have magical light illuminating your path.
So the double-sided door is right in front of us.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, you go in. It's it's a standard basement. It's just a square, probably 40 feet by 40 feet, and then there's stairs leading, a few stairs leading up, and the double doors with the bar on them to kind of keep them
Okay.
locked from the inside.
Alright. So is there any sort of hole in the door that I can peek through?
Not really, no. There's not enough of a gap that you'd be able to see through it. And it's a well-maintained door, so.
In the kitchen area, were there
Mhm.
any cloths, any towels, any, to clean yourself from meat, any aprons? Were any of those things around?
Yeah, absolutely. That any
Okay,
and
so
all of that would have been available.
while I'm leaving, I'm waiting to be the last one to go down the trapdoor.
Yep.
I'm gonna use Mage Hand
Mhm.
to sort of hover one perfectly above the trapdoor and just peek and peek and peek, and when it gets out of vision, just lay it down on the trapdoor and close it to obscure the trapdoor from vision.
Okay. Absolutely. So you do that. Nice. Cool. And so do you guys proceed out the double doors then?
Yeah, we're going to have to get out of here pretty quick if this place is on fire. If somebody else wants to open the door, I'll stand back there with my bow drawn, and we'll see if we can break our way out of here if there's something in the way.
Yep. So yeah, I'll be the one to open the door. I take off the bar, and I take out my short sword, and I just slowly open the door, making sure, looking around to make sure that there's nobody to get the jump on me.
While he does that, I brandish my whip.
Nice.
I pull back my jacket on my right side, and you just see it coiled up right there. Just pop that one clip and just
Nice. Sweet.
let it
Sweet.
unfurl.
Nice. Yeah, cool. So, yeah, you open the doors, and there's nothing immediately in front of you as you open the doors. You can definitely hear groaning sounds kind of off to your right. To your left, you can't make anything out, but because there's so much rain and thunder, you don't know for sure whether there's anything off to your left.
All right. So there you go.
I'm gonna stealthily walk up those stairs, and I'm gonna, try and. It's obviously dark out at night tonight.
Yeah. Yep. It's very dark, and it's even harder to see because of just sheets of rain pouring down.
Okay, I'm just gonna go nice and slow and stealth my way out of that, trying to avoid notice.
Okay.
Yeah. I second that. I'm gonna stealth as well.
Yep. Nice.
I rolled 16 for
Okay.
a stealth check.
Yeah, so
I have
you-
a
Go
15.
ahead.
Yeah, 15.
All right. So yeah, you guys pop up, and blend into the shadows, kind of as the rain starts to hit you and soak your clothes. You notice off to your right, there is a sort of large mass of zombies. They're facing away from you, but you would say there's probably around 20 or 30 of them. They look to be the slow-moving ones. They're just kind of shambling along. And so you're in this alleyway, and so to your left, it does appear clear. And then, right ahead of you is just more buildings and whatever, so.
Start creeping left.
Nice.
I'm trying to see if there's any sort of like landmark or someplace that like looks good to go to in this chaos.
All right. Nelson, you might be muted. I don't know. I can't hear you. It looks like you were...
Son of a gun. Yeah, I was, seeing as we came to the town, we should know where the exit of town is, right? The closest exit to town?
Yeah, so you actually, that's a good point. You guys were fairly close to the town walls to the north of town. And there was a large kind of merchant gate to those town walls. So either way, if you went left or right, I mean, eventually all the streets do lead to the different entrances.
But from where we're at, which is the fastest, the shortest path?
From where you're at, if you go left, that will take you right to the main gate. Right, you would go, a couple of blocks different, but there's a huge mass of zombies to the right as well.
All right. I just wanted to go towards the shortest path, so, a left do we go.
Excellent. So you guys are all kind of heading left, and what I would say too is if you guys want, whoever is kind of leading the way, if you're being stealthy, if you want to sort of do that as a, and you kind of motion your companions like follow me, follow in my footsteps, I would say that would give the party advantage on any stealth checks, except if Fallon's doing it because he still has disadvantage because he's drunk or feels drunk. But so you could do that. But yeah, you're shambling along, or you're not shambling along. I'm sorry, you're stealthily moving along down the left, getting just completely soaked, stepping in puddles. It's quite miserable. As you're passing through these buildings, boarded up and shops and whatever. In some of the buildings, you can see what you would assume are, humanoid figures. You can't tell if they're alive or undead at this point, but they're in the buildings. But they don't seem to see you. And you kind of come out onto this intersection, a four-way intersection. And before you is a large, kind of a large building that you guys know used to be the barracks for the city guard. And you can kind of see the walls above you. You're still a few blocks away from the gate. But yeah, in front of you here is essentially the entrance to the city barracks. And there are no zombies right now in this area.
Well, I just I'll be leading at this point if that's okay. I was the first one out of the door and I turned left. I'm just going to turn back and quietly ask the guys, do you just want to get the hell out of here and get the quickest way out of town, or do you want to see if we can help some people out?
I think they're too far from help.
Well, how about we just make our way out of town, and if there's people that need help on the way, they can tag along.
Sounds good to me.
I shall return with the clergy of Palor. They must know of this to cleanse the evil that is in this town.
I'll go do some push-ups.
Is this the...
Nice. And, Nailendale, what?
Barracks means guards.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just
right,
gonna
yeah, that was where the city guards were housed.
Pick the quickest route out that is not blocked by zombies.
Okay.
Yep, I'm following.
Gotcha. Nailendale, what is your armor class, by the way?
16. I'm wearing studded leather.
Okay. So as you take a step, off kind of towards the direction of the walls, a crossbow bolt comes flying right past your head, and sticks into the to a building behind you. You hear a curse, in this deep voice from inside the barracks building, and you kind of look up and you see this shape in the window. You can see a crossbow, but you see, he kind of pulls it back, and you get the impression that he's loading it. So, what do you guys want to do?
All right, so I see the crossbow just launch past the guy, and what I do is I look back, immediately find I imagine there's light in there that makes him sort of stand out from the windows. So
no, in fact, it doesn't. You only saw his figure because a crack of lightning hit, which illuminated him for a second. But no, it's very dark, and with the rain, it's difficult to see.
How high is this window?
It would probably be it's a third-story window.
So about 30 feet up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I produced that bottle that I was hiding underneath my coat jacket.
Yep.
And then just mage handed 30 feet up to illuminate the window.
Nice. That's awesome. And so, as that happens, do any of you guys speak Dwarven?
No.
No. All right.
Nope.
So you hear a curse in a language that you don't quite understand, but you then see the guy kind of pop out, and he's looking out the window, and he's looking at this illuminating light, and you can clearly see it's a dwarf. He's wearing a helm on his head, but you can see from the illumination that it's very battered and bruised, and he's wearing what look to be holy vestments, but he's clearly wearing armor, and he kind of props his crossbow down, and he looks at you guys, and he's like, "Oi, get on in here, come on," and he motions you to the door.
I'll mage hand the bottle back down and tuck it away again under my coat to hide the light from the creatures, and say, "Well, let's walk to the door."
Yeah,
All right.
I'm in. He looks to be in need of aid. Let's go.
I
Make
rush
my way
into
to the door.
I rush into the door, not because to help the guy, but because it's the safest place.
Okay. And psilocybin, who's your deity? Or who was your deity originally when you were a paladin?
Oh God. Well, I can
Works for
RP
me
it
now.
off and say that I forgot. All I know is it's got a waterfall on my shield now.
Okay, no, that's fine. And honestly, if you wanted to be sort of, you were a paladin, but you're not super devout, that's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly him.
All right, cool. Yeah. So you guys come to the door, and you go to put your hand on it to open, and the door opens, and the dwarf is standing there, with a large sword on his back. The crossbow, he had a heavy crossbow. He's kind of got that slung over one shoulder, and he's opened the door with the other hand, and he kind of peers out real quick, and he's like, "Have any of the biters followed you? Are they in here?" And he's looking around.
We've not been seen yet.
He's like, "All right, then get your elven asses in here. Come on."
I
Oh,
hop in.
don't be all discriminatory. And I adjust my jacket.
And
Come in.
he looks at your holy symbol, and then he looks at you, and then he looks back at your holy symbol, and he's like, "Just get in here, get in here." So you guys all get in. He immediately looks to the preacher, and he's like, "You follower of Palor?"
Yes, the great god Palor, illuminator of darkness. We need his light in these dark times,
Yep. And you see this intense look of almost like psychic pain, like this sense of loss and longing come over his face for just a split second. and then it's replaced sort of by rage and concern. And he looks at you and he says, "More now than ever, but I don't think Palor is with us anymore. But that's not important. That's not important. What are you guys doing, wandering around the streets?"
I'm trying not to get killed.
I would
was
say
just
more
trying to have a little
leaving than
party.
wandering.
More leaving party, yeah. More leaving than yeah. Okay, he's like, well, you're going the wrong way, you fools. He's like, you can't go out the entrance here. It's totally overrun by zombies. The few guards that were guarding it, well, now they're zombies too. You gotta head down to the port. That's the only way out. The port is the opposite side of the city. You guys are sort of up north in the city, and then the port is to the south. So,
Is there anyone else in here with you?
he hesitates for a minute, and then you see his eyes kind of flick like he's looking behind him, but he's trying to conceal it. And as you look behind him, you notice small figures kind of peering around, benches and tables and whatever, and you can tell that they're children. You would say that you make out about 20 forms in all, including two what look to be adult females. And he notices you noticing them, and he says, "Yeah, there's some others. That's why I haven't made with the leave-in, so to speak."
Well, it's a large group to get out of here unseen, but I don't think we have much choice. If they stay here, they're going to die. Their best chance is with us.
He
And
looks.
I just tell him that,
Yeah.
you know,
Go ahead.
if he's wants to show us the direct route to the port, we'll see what we can do about, clearing the path.
He says he looks at you and you see this kind of look of skepticism on his face. The fact that an elf is offering aid and help to a dwarf. Unfortunately there is still racism in this part of the world, and he's clearly taken aback. But he looks to the other companions and he says, that's a mighty fine offer of you, but you don't know what you're saying. I can't turn down your help, but escorting these, the children through the city, I mean, that'll be a death sentence for you for sure.
Well, if it were just yourself, you'd be on your own. But a child, whether it's dwarf, human, or elf, deserves any chance they can. And I think their best chance is with us.
Fallon just looks at the children like silently, like all the people that's there, and he's sort of wrestling. You can look at it, even though he's drunk, you can still look at his eyes and see that he's wrestling with his moral side right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's run away and live, or stay and potentially save other lives.
We gotta bring the children. Mm.
Yeah, Anders is just he'll walk over to the children and start performing little tricks. Using prestidigitation to perform little tricks and entertain them, and start telling them different children's stories that he's picked up and heard.
Nice.
Adventure, pretending to be a priest all over the place.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
these two older females, are they? Is there any chance that either of them is a warrior or could handle a weapon?
They don't look to be. They're human females. One of them is very young. She looks like she can't be more than 13 or 14. Very slight build. Shoulder length blonde hair. The other one is much older. Not much older. It would be like her mom or something like that. You know, that kind of age difference. But they're the ones that are sort of, you know, gathering the children and trying to comfort them. And so you get the impression that whether they were before or it's clear they are now, you know, caring for these children. But they don't look like warriors.
Well, this is the barracks, right?
Yes.
Where there's got to be more crossbows in here. It doesn't take a warrior to pull a trigger. Let's get some crossbows and as many people that can hold them. And I think that's our best bet.
I got two questions.
Yep.
For this dwarf, how high is the wall?
He says, if you're thinking of scaling the wall, it's a fool's errand, especially in this, you know, in this weather. It's probably about 100 feet high.
And how many zombies does he think are at the wall?
He says, last I checked, all the entrances had zombies just knocking on the doors trying to get out. I couldn't tell you for sure, but there must have been hundreds.
I don't know if I could distract that many.
He looks and he says, I seriously doubt it. He's like, there's no point in distracting. If you guys are serious with your offer, and he's got that sense of still sort of shocked amazement that you would actually do that in his voice. He says, I think that our best bet is to head right for the town square, and then from there it's a sure shot right to the port. But I could sure use a few fighters if I'm bringing the kids out, you know, to kind of guard our backs. And he kind of pulls this, you know, long sword from his back, and he says, but the orc blade always finds its mark. And he kind of stabs it into the, you know, kind of the tip into the floor of the barracks, and then he kind of just looks to you guys, and you can clearly tell this is like a masterwork dwarven longsword. It's nice.
Yeah, I just say, you know, I'm not much of a fighter, but I always do what I can.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to look the dwarf straight in the face, and then I'm going to reach into Anders' pouch and whip out one of the small bottles that we had.
Man, you ain't getting to my pouch. Give me that.
From the strong box. And then
back off. What are you back off?
I just go like this to his face and give it to the dwarf and say, "Can you tell me what this is?"
Create bonfire.
I would say at this point, to do that, if you're trying to be stealthy at all, I would say make a sleight of hand check. Otherwise, I'm gonna let Ander decide how he reacts to that.
All right, I'll roll sleight of hand. Keep it interesting.
Okay.
I'm still on disadvantage, right?
Yep. So roll a perception check, Anders.
That is 24.
Well, with disadvantage, you get a 24?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's some nice rolling.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Wow.
I need to roll to disbelieve.
Oh, here we go again.
Right there. Right there, the 8.
Dude, you got like
Disbelieve,
100
Rome. You're full of shenanigans.
Shenanigans, guys.
18 plus 6.
Not that we could see with that brief moment and you shaking the camera so much, but you know that's besides.
I'll show it again.
No, that's all right. Go ahead. Go ahead. Steal from the priest who had held single-handedly, was holding
Who
the
needs to do
fort,
more push-ups?
You know, who has been showing concern to these kids. You walk up and steal from this priest as he's entertaining these children.
There's like a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old female, right?
Well, the one of the females was, you would estimate, about 13 years old. The other one was probably in her 30s.
All right, I'm
and
gonna
then
look to the
there's
group and be
children that
like,
all seem to
"How
be.
about we use them for bait?"
Oh.
You say that, and Dungrim, this dwarf, his name is Dungrim Orkblade. He pulls his blade out of the out of the floor and sort of wields it,
Hey,
and
hey,
he
hey, now,
actually
Mr. Man.
pulls a whetstone out and starts sharpening it. And he's like, jokes like that will scare the children. I don't take kindly to scaring the children.
Mm.
So anyway, I'm going to now that I have the potion, I'm going to.
Yeah, now that he stole from me, I'm gonna mage hand him as he walks away to trip him up.
All
I'm
right.
just going to show it to the group. Okay. So what I
Well, it's
heard.
either that or create bonfire. I mean, I don't know which one.
Well, it's up to you. I would say if you mage hand, then Fallon makes a dexterity save with disadvantage.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I'm going to say in this case, because you're already inebriated, you're going to need at least a DC 15.
Well, go for it.
Alrighty. That is a 9. Yep.
All right. So you take a step forward. Were you heading towards the children or towards the dwarf to hand him the potion?
I was heading towards the dwarf to ask him to appraise the bottle.
Oh, okay. You take a step towards him, and then you trip over your own feet. The potion goes flying out of your hands as you kind of land smack on your face. And you can feel your nose break a little bit, and blood starts trickling out. You just take 1 bludgeoning damage, but and you can see kind of in slow motion the potion is kind of ass over tea kettle in a way, kind of going toward, and the dwarf sees it and drops his whetstone and kind of just grabs it right out of the air. And he looks at it, and he looks at it kind of with a sense of sort of longing and of recognition.
Well,
And
remember they're in really cheap bottles.
oh yeah, no, I know, but he still looks at it that way. And oh wait, did you grab one of the? So did you grab just one of the things of liquor that he did, or the blue liquid that he had?
It was the blue liquid that we got from the strongbox.
Okay, that's what I thought. So so he looks at you and he says, and then he gives a little bit of a chuckle. And you can tell that he didn't mean to. Like he was trying to kind of maintain this, ferocious pose, but he's like, as the dark elf falls on his face. And then he looks down to you and he's like, well, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but you may need this. As he looks at the blood coming out of your face, he's like, what are you doing throwing a healing potion around like that?
You'll see Andrew stand up, start patting himself down, and opening his jacket, looking around. He goes, I know it.
Yeah.
I do believe he got that from me.
And he looks to you. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I turned to the preacher and I say, who was the one who opened the strong box? I'm just like grabbing my nose like this.
Yes, first, I thought merely that you couldn't handle all that liquor. You see, Paylor protects his faithful.
Yeah. And Dungren nods, and he looks at Anders, and he's and you actually see he is wearing the holy symbol of Paylor, and he's got what looked to have been at one point robes with the holy symbol on it. So but he clearly looks like he's lost a step. Like there's something about him that he doesn't radiate this kind of divine aura like you might expect. and he kind of hands you the potion, and he's like, "You guys need this more than me." He's like, "I don't expect to make it out of here alive, but he says if you're still willing." And he was, and he has goodwill towards you, Anders, because you were entertaining the children. He seems friendly with you, and he's kind of focused on you. If you're still willing, we'd be willing to take you up on your offer.
It's like I can do everything within my powers, but Andros will sigh, but unfortunately they are quite limited.
And he nods his head, and he looks to you and he says, "I know what it's like to have limited powers." And he kind of sighs for a minute, and then he looks down at his feet. And I think if you guys are okay with it, let's maybe just take 5, and we'll pick it up in about 5 minutes here. Let's take a quick break.
Okay,
Yep, that's
okay.
Cool.
All of you or just you? Your popcorn bowl is in the dishwasher. The what? I think that's in the dishwasher too. People are there. Bless you.
Yeah.
Punch in their ears.
Hmm?
They're gonna punch in their ears.
Sorry about that. My cat was acting up.
No, it's all right. It's a good time for a break. So.
You can take those off. Right there.
So nothing like really happened. Like we're just waiting. Like this is the halfway point.
Yeah.
Alright, good. I'd say this is going good so far.
Good. Yeah, I hope so. Nobody's died yet, which is good. I
Wait,
wasn't
we were
sure with
we
all
were
those
supposed to die?
bonfires and all that.
When were we supposed to die?
Yeah,
I don't want to die.
don't worry. It's been fairly easy so far. I know. Yeah, you said you like this character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Did you play this one in Andrew's game earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
I was making it, so I just leveled it up for his.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah,
I
I'm
made
not,
mine.
not used to games where people aren't dying. My home games, the DM that usually runs it, he kills everybody.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure because nobody was playing a cleric, and I didn't know, if we were gonna have a paladin or not. So, I was like, oh shit, I don't know if anybody's got healing spells, but
Yeah, mine are limited and mostly used up. So.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, the Rangers got such a limited list of spells. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah. Hey, at least you guys got 2 healing potions, so that's good. You're gonna need them.
Speaking of which,
Yep.
What?
I'm gonna have to, put one inside my chest pocket of the vest that is underneath the coat.
Nice.
I guess I'll be
Yeah.
holding on to the other one then.
No more thieving.
No. You, my friend, you are a thieving, cowardly heathen. Should you should go it the way you are.
Um.
I am going the way I am. I stole from you, didn't I?
Terrible.
Yeah.
You're gonna die now.
I was gonna say, PvP in a zombie apocalypse game would be so unfortunate.
Yeah,
And so-
that's why I only used Mage Hand.
Yeah. No, bonfire would have been funny, but it's like, oh
Yeah.
shit.
No, like I wasn't trying to steal it. I was trying to show it to the dwarf.
Could have
Yeah,
just said, you could have just used your mouth
Yeah.
instead of your hands.
Yeah, exactly. Reaching into
That
a
would
dude's
have been
back.
awesome.
Now you
Yeah.
have a broken nose.
Yep. Yep.
What's a broken nose to a zombie bite?
Nice. So.
Now the fresh blood streaming from your nose, the scent being carried off in the air, splashed away by this rain, seeping into the very ground these creatures walk on. Oh, you are like a beacon.
Mm-hmm.
Not my fault.
Yeah. Blood is not a good thing here.
I've killed 2
Um,
zombies already. What's 20 more?
20 more, yeah. Okay.
You last hit 2 zombies already.
If we're
It was the
keeping
purging
death
flame of
count,
Paylor.
yeah, that bonfire killed a whole lot of them. Because it's like casting it right outside the door, and they're like, oh.
Killed 2, I've killed dozens.
Yeah.
Step up your game.
Nice. So yeah, then go give it another minute for
All right.
Andrew to get back, and then. But yeah, so. But in the meantime.
Alright, I'm back.
Oh, awesome. Cool. So. The dwarf, realizing that he never actually introduced himself, and he proffers his hand out to Anders, and he says, "Dungren Orkblade, nice to see a fellow follower of Paylor."
What is it, Dungrum?
Yeah, Dungrim, Dungrim.
All right. Yeah, he sticks out his hands. He goes, "Elonian Anders, at your service." Meets his hand. Meets his extended hand and shakes it.
Nice. It's a pleasure. and then he looks to the two elves, and he just kind of nods his head. He doesn't offer his hand, and he looks to the paladin, and kind of nods his head as well, but a little more friendly. And then he kind of points back to the two women, and he points to the obviously younger one. He's like, "This is Tila, and this is her mom, Editha, accompanying the children." But he looked to the elf and he said, "You said something about crossbows. I think that's not a bad idea. Well, at least I don't know how much use they'll be, but better have something than nothing."
Well, what do you think of this idea, good sir? If we could illuminate the bolts of these crossbows with Palor's bathing light, so that if they miss their target by Palor's will, they could be distracted by the light in the darkness.
He kind of looks at you, and then he looks back to the drow, and he's like, "No amount of light's gonna distract him from that." And he had the blood coming down from his face. He's like, "We can try it. At this point, anything we can do to survive. But I think we're gonna have to try to be stealthy if we can. And the children know what they're about. They'll keep quiet."
And actually, with that, I'll grab a crossbow. Well, before grabbing a crossbow, what I'll do is I'll approach our dark elf friend, like, "Oh, no, you're bleeding all over the place," and I'll pull out a handkerchief and sort of help him with his nose and stuff. And she's like, "Tilt your head back, look up. Oh, these elven noses have such large nasal canals. Just tilt your okay. I think you're good. I think you're." And with the blood-soaked handkerchief, I'll keep it to myself. And then when I go for these crossbow bolts, I take my dagger and cut them into strips, and then wrap them on the crossbow bolt. And then proceed to use prestidigitation to clean my hands of blood. I'll cast light on each bolt, on the tip of each bolt, and then let the light be obscured inside of its little carrying case, and grab myself a light crossbow.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, definitely.
I didn't know you could prestidigitation clean.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's a pretty cool. It's a cantrip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It can do quite a few. Well, I don't know. I let it do a lot of stuff because I tend to like it when people are creative with their spells. But yeah, it's cool. So
it does a lot of little, almost insignificant things, but you could use those insignificant things, to do really nice things or useful things like cleaning yourself. I have blood on me, I can clean myself. It actually stipulates inside of the spell that I can use it to clean myself in one fell swoop.
Nice. So
while the rest of them are getting ready, I'm going to see if I can find myself maybe another quiver of arrows for my longbow, just to make sure I don't run out on the way out of here. And I'll make sure that if some of the smaller children that can't carry weapons, maybe they can carry some extra bolts for the crossbows that everybody else is picking up, and just make sure everybody's supplied and ready for whatever we're going to need.
And how many of these
absolutely.
are these mostly humans or?
Yeah, in fact, they're all humans. The children range anywhere from about 5 years old to, you would estimate the oldest is maybe 8 or 10.
All right, so what I'm gonna do next, when I have a chance, is again, making a little bit of a show of it to the kids, and even to Dungrum and anybody watching, is the pouch of gold that we got. I'll spill the gold coins on the floor, and I'll just arrange them, and I'm making a show of it, like placing them very deliberately, almost making it look ritualistically, and one by one casting light on each coin.
Yep.
And then I'll start handing out the coins, repeating the same thing that I repeated when I was handing out the lit bottles. In this darkness may Palor's light guide you, right? One by one, and just let them know, as long as they could hold the coin in their hand completely, no light will escape, so the zombies wouldn't know. But when they need to see, they can simply open up their hands and let Paylor's light guide them.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, and at first, before they take your coins, they kind of look up to Tila or Adatha, whichever's closest, just to be like, is this okay? And they nod, and they have smiles on their faces, and and the two women look to you and they're like, thank you. Your kindness will never be forgotten. If we can make it out of here alive, and Dungrim is also very grateful, and he's like, well, and then before he's mid sentence, and there's this just crash on the front door of the barracks, and he kind of looks over, and he's like, all right, I think it's time to get out of here. We got to go now. Let's go out the back. And
yeah, well, while there's this crash, I'll just look out and boop, create a bonfire.
Okay. Yep.
By Paylor's might you shall burn. The whole spiel again, creating a bonfire just in front of this door so that they all burn as they're trying to push in.
Nice. Yeah, you do that, and you can hear sort of the the grunting, but there's lots of it out there, and as everybody's kind of running, and you can tell that the children are doing their best to kind of hold it together. They've clearly seen zombies before, so this isn't the first time that they've done this, but they're frightened. But Dungren is kind of going down the line, handing each child a little dagger, and then you did kind of distribute some crossbow bolt quivers to them, so they understand. Okay, we got a job to do here. So
yeah, I just say I'll hold them all for as long as I can, and because create bonfire is a concentration spell. After it's cast, all I have to do is concentrate. Mm-hmm. So I'll use my successive actions to do a firebolt.
Okay.
To try to kill off some more. And once they leave the room, I'll continue and I'll stop with the whole Paylor's glory stuff. And I'll stop using the holy symbol because, the holy symbol is actually fused with my arcane focus. So it looks so odd. So I'm like, die. Once they all left, and once I think they've been given enough time, I just haul ass, using my bonus, my dash, canny action, and just head out.
Yeah, no, awesome, definitely. And after you cast the bonfire, Dungren kind of looks to you, and he says, "Well, I'm glad someone here, has some kind of ability other than fighting." He's like, I used to, but those powers escaped me when my faith did. So, unfortunately, I will only be useful with my blade. And he holds his blade out. He's like, I would have been, and there's great shame in his voice and his eyes. And he's like, if I believed in Paylor anymore, I might have been more use. But if I can go out, saving these children and getting them to freedom, well, maybe I'll bask in his light in the end.
Yeah, in an attempt to perk him up and give him some of that, fire, so that he could save me. The kids.
Yeah.
He's like, you may not believe in the light of Paylor, but the light of Paylor shines deep inside of you. You have been allowed to live this long so that you could use your martial prowess to save these innocents. Do not doubt yourself. Even if you doubt him, do not doubt yourself. He still believes in you, my brother.
Nice.
And he goes back to blasting them.
Yep.
By Paylor's light, and still, hamming it up while he's still there.
Oh yeah. And it does perk him up a little bit. He kind of gives you this smile of admiration, and then he's like, all right, let's get out of here, quick. And with a bit of a spring in his step, although you tell he does have a limp, and you can see that his leg is bandaged, but he is, he's like, all right, let's go out the back. And so you guys all proceed out the back, with Anders waiting until the very end. And then just as like the last of the children, and then Dungren behind them, leaves this area, the door kind of crashes open, and through the flames you see a couple of these zombies, kind of come through and then fall down dead, and then behind them more come through, and they manage to stay up, and then more and more kind of just start flooding into this building.
I fire off one of those blood-soaked bolts to see if I can, in a path that they're not following, to see if it draws their attention enough.
Yeah, yeah, you do that, and it does. They kind of look for a minute, and right now there's probably about 8 zombies that are alive and into the room. More are coming behind, but probably about half of them kind of divert in that direction.
Yeah,
the others see you, and so they're coming at you. But
seeing that, I'll actually mage hand the bolt back to me,
nice,
and cut and run,
nice.
as fast as possible, and then tucking it back away. Now that I know that I can grab their attention.
I'll take
Yep.
a point right with
Yep.
the dwarf.
Cool.
If he's the one leading the way out of here, I'm right beside him, in the front. Just to let you know where I'm headed with it.
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm confused. Wait, so,
Yeah, absolutely.
since you pulled the bolt back, doesn't that attract the zombies back though?
Well, they're aware of him anyway.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to
but,
see if
yeah.
it would catch their attention.
Yeah,
I mean, my blood's still pumping, but
yeah.
I don't care if they still notice me. I'll run them.
Yeah, he's getting the hell out. These are the slow ones, not like the 2 in the beginning. So, yeah. So yeah, Dungren was kind of at the back of the children, but as you guys are running towards the back of the barracks, he's gone to the front, and he's got his sword out, and he's holding it in both hands, ready, and he kind of, he's like, wait, and he motions for, in kind of like a military symbol, or signal, sorry, to the women and the children to wait, and they respond, and they kind of hunch down, and then he looks next to him, to the elf by his side, and he's like, well, you ready to die?
As ready as I'll ever be. And I hold up my bow, and I say, they don't call us the Horde Breaker for nothing.
And he gives a laugh. Nice, and he kicks open the back door, and leaps out into the street.
So I follow him.
So I'm going to arm my crossbow, and then I'm going to run to the darkest shadow, like most shadow-covered place, so I can pick off zombies from the shadows.
Sure.
Yeah. As I'm leaving, whatever sort of furniture, weapon, racks, books, anything, as I'm leaving, as everyone has already exited, I'm just like firing off mage hand left and right, no hamming, just like just dropping things all over the halls to try to slow these zombies up and impede them even further.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No, definitely.
while I'm doing that too, I'll actually create another bonfire, just off into the distance, and every 30 feet I trying to get out of here. I don't know how big this place is, but every 30 feet I'll drop one in front of me and start running away, and then following it up by mage handing anything I can to slow them up. Trying to burn them as they follow, the ones that do manage to die, have them slow them up even further to give us as much of a head start from this horde as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you do that, and there's this just tremendous clatter and crashing from from the building you guys hear behind you, and stuff's flying all over the place, and furniture and
Okay, you breaking up there.
if they could get, they would be. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me better?
Right now, yes, but a moment
me?
ago you were breaking up. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Yeah, there's just a tremendous racket going on. So unless psilocybin wants to do anything in particular, you guys all managed to exit out into the alley behind the barracks.
Yeah, I'll follow.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, so as Dungren leaps out, he immediately is confronted with two zombies right outside, and he just immediately slashes one with his blade and decapitates it, and then kind of does a spin move and kind of comes up and impales right under the throat with his blade on the other one, and they both go down. The Fallon kind of pops out of the door and sneaks over into the shadows and sees two zombies kind of coming in either direction. But you don't see a huge horde. You can see there's two ways that you could go, left or right, and from each side there are just kind of two zombies on each side. But they're not. They've just perked up to look, but they looked like they were feeding on something. Um, so, so you guys have a decision, and Dungren, takes out the two right there by the door, and he's like, "We have to go left. That'll be the quickest way to the city square, and then from there it's a straight shot to the docks."
I don't know if I'm up front with them yet, but if I am,
Yep. Yeah, you guys are
Yeah,
all kind of right there.
Yeah, well,
so,
we don't have any time to debate this. Let's move on.
Yeah, you said there was one to the left and one to the right as well, down further a bit.
There's a pair. Yeah. So there's a pair down to the left and a pair to the right.
And he said left, so I'm gonna aim for one on the left.
I'm gonna like line up with him at the same time. So we're gonna essentially just do in sync and both shoot our arrows.
Yep. Yeah. Nice.
Have
Yeah,
I
go
sort
ahead
of
and,
sobered up yet?
Yeah. Yes. By this time you would have. Yeah.
Okay then. Just want to make sure for so we got to roll for that.
Rolling
Yeah,
initiative or just
No, just go ahead and roll an attack.
okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my hunter's mark on one of these. It's one of my last spells. It'll last for an hour. I can do an extra die damage on the target I shooting.
Okay.
And
I have 14 for mine.
Yep. That hits.
Yeah, that's 1d8.
These
rolled.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say real quick. These guys are caught by surprise, so you can get your sneak attack damage.
Oh, okay then. Excellent.
Yep.
If any of them is still standing, let me know and I'll attack as well.
Right. Do I add my dex bonus too or no?
Yep.
Okay then. Wow. 17 damage.
Oh yeah. You take him out, bolt right to the forehead, and he falls down, kind of falls into the other one, and what was your roll?
Did 11 hit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, 11 does hit.
Okay, and I also have my hunter skill is Horde Breaker, and it says on each of my turns I can attack with the same weapon on a creature that's within 5 feet of the original target. So can I shoot both of them?
One of them has died from.
Oh, he died from the first shot?
Yeah, he died. Yep. So what would have happened is as you're firing your first one, you see a bolt streak at the same time, and bury itself right into the head of the zombie, and the zombie just goes down. Yeah.
Okay, well,
so yeah, you
I hit the other one with an 11, you say? So he takes 11 points of damage.
Okay. So just as the bolt fells the one zombie, your arrow goes kind of right into the throat of this zombie and is sticking halfway out, and the zombie looks up at you and kind of is like, "Arr."
He's not dead?
Nope, he's not dead.
And how far are these guys? Are they close or are they really far away?
No, they would have been about 40 feet away.
Okay, well then, if they're 40 feet away from our archers, I'll, again, hamming it up, step in front of them, and then present this malformed conglomeration of a holy symbol, holding it holding it by the bottom side of the cross, and presenting, the sun disk just above my head, and go, "Foul creature, may Palor's light burn!" And as he says that, create a bonfire under the creature's feet.
All right.
So it has to roll a deck
Yep.
save DC 13.
Yep. So you create the bonfire, and it engulfs the zombie in flames, and the zombie is, for a moment, is sort of like rooted to the spot. Like he was starting to move, and then the bonfire just like almost consumes him, and he goes up in fire. And he's burning in a way that hadn't happened before. For some reason, he's lit up. Like he is just an inferno at this point. And he takes about 2 steps and then kind of falls, and then his body just is disintegrated by the fire. Yeah. The 2 zombies that were behind you,
Yeah.
now the other way, now notice you. And they start coming at you guys, and they're quick. These are fast zombies, so I think we still have psilocybin has the opportunity to take an action.
Sweet, I'm gonna whip that zombie.
Yeah.
Whip it good.
Whip it.
Whip it.
Nice. So yeah, these ones are coming in kind of fast, but you can tell that they are not. They're not super strong. They look pretty decayed and desiccated at this point. So
19 to hit.
Oh yeah, you definitely hit.
And that will be 7 damage.
All right. So and you're using a whip, is that right?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Yeah, you kind of slash with your whip, and it for a minute kind of rings around the zombie's neck, and then you pull it back, and there's a big slash on his neck as this black blood and bile just kind of comes out. And he's still standing, but it stopped him in his tracks for a minute. And then he starts to shamble forward a little more slowly, but the other one was coming at you full speed, and he crashes into you trying to make a slam attack against you. Oh shit, and he crits.
Ooh.
Yeah, so he gets 14 damage on you as he just whips, and slams into you, and his claws kind of dig in, and he goes to try to make a bite, and he fails. But I need to make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. That will be a 15.
All right, so you for a split second, as his claws rend into you, feel this pain, but then you kind of feel almost like a sense of calm and this this resistance, and you shrug off this disease from these zombies. Then the other one comes at you and tries to swing at you, but is clearly not in any good condition, and you easily dodge out of the way. And so they're now engaged with you. So you guys can make your actions again. Is holding back. He's kind of standing near the children, so he's not going to attack. And I believe we had Nailendel act first as well as Fallon, right? So if you guys want to stay in that order, you can. If you want to roll initiative, we can do that either way.
I'm cool with it.
I'm good.
All right.
Okay.
Now, Fallon, if you attack one of the zombies, because they are within 5 feet of an enemy, you will get your sneak attack bonus.
All right, so you go first, Nerd.
Okay, what I'm going to do is the same thing as last time. I can mark one target and use my Horde Breaker, so I'm going to attack both of them.
Yep.
I missed one, but I got 20 on the other one.
Yeah, that definitely hits.
Yeah, so one of them takes 10 points of damage.
Nice, nice. Okay, we'll assume that you hit the one that was already injured. That one takes a bolt right into the chest, and the bottom half of the zombie, like, it's funny, like it pierces his chest, and then like he kind of falls forward, and his, from probably like his rib cage down, sort of tears up. And the zombie's not dead. He starts to just like claw his way towards you still, and the legs on the other side are kind of kicking, um, but he's still coming.
Yeah, we'll
And Fallon, now you can go.
pin him to the
Alright.
ground.
So is the other zombie? He's on top of Andrew, or?
Yeah. So he's not exactly grappled with him, but he had just made an attack. Stuck his claw into him. Andrew had managed to pull himself out just as the guy was going to make a bite, and then the other zombie swung at him from the other side, and he ducked out of the way of that one too.
Okay, then. So I'm gonna go after the one that was not hit by the bow, like the one that made the attack and
Okay.
missed.
Yep.
And I'm gonna have my sneak attack if I hit.
Yeah.
That is 11.
You hit.
Alright, excellent. I mean, which one's so that is 7 damage.
Man, with your sneak attack?
Yeah, with my sneak attack. Oh wait, I didn't have my
Ouch.
dex. I didn't have my dex bonus. Sorry, so that's 11.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you definitely hit him, and the bolt launches into his shoulder and dislocates it, and the arm is just like hanging there by a thread for a minute, and the zombie kind of looks down at it for a minute, and then he looks back at you, and it's and then he kind of he's like, "Rrrr," but he's still engaged with psilocybin because that's the closest one for him to bite. So, Anders, you get to act now.
Just motioning towards that other area, the holy symbol in my left hand. Anders starts running towards the other side. He flicks his jacket to the side, exposing his whip, grabs his whip, disconnects it, and unfurls it almost in one fluid motion, whipping it back. Just as he's running past Dungrim, he gives him a nod and he goes, "Protect the children," and then he cracks his whip at one of these zombies.
Nice. Do you want to go for the one that's like only half a zombie at this point and is shambling on the ground, or the one that's still up and engaged?
I'll go for the one that's up and engaged.
Okay.
A 1, nat 1.
Nice.
Nat
So you go to flail with your whip, and because your hands are soaked and the rain is just coming down, the whip just slips right out of your hand, and it actually hits psilocybin, not with the whip end of it, but actually with the part that you were holding, and just deals him one point of bludgeoning damage. But all of a sudden, it's like to the back of the head, it's like boom, oh, he's like, and the zombie, obviously doesn't take any damage, but
Yeah, Anders will also slip a little bit in the rain,
yep.
and stumble, and also almost trying to make a show of it, speaking loud enough for everyone to hear him, but trying to make it seem like he's talking to himself.
Mhm.
He goes, "Oh, yes, Paylor, I see. You require your might to be shown, not mine. Forgive me."
Nice.
He'll end it with that.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, so so that's what happened. So psilocybin is up next. Hopefully he'll get to take
All
out
right.
his zombie attacker.
Yeah, hopefully.
Because you just got hit in the head with your companion's whip.
I go to attack with my whip, and that'll be a 14.
Yeah, you hit.
Ooh. So I'm cracking my whip about, and that is a 8 damage. Nice.
Nice, nice. All right. Yeah, so you whip him, and again, right around his throat, and this one, like you clearly can see that you have,
Choke for me.
you kind of it goes around his throat. Yep, nice. And then you kind of yank on it a little bit, and you can hear the bones crack, and the zombie is sort of like, it's kind of like held there. And if you want, you can, kind of pull the whip back and let it go, or you can kind of have him like tethered there, so to speak. But he's not down. And so he or it will now attack, attempt to make an attack on psilocybin, and it fails miserably because he's just been basically choked. He kind of tries to slam him, and kind of he hits him, but not with enough force to do anything, and it kind of brings him backwards, and then because the whip is still around his neck, he then lurches forward again. He's like, so it's like this thing, and he actually takes another point of damage in that encounter. And then the one on the ground kind of shambles up, tries to bite psilocybin on the ankle, but is unsuccessful. So, and now it is the top of the initiative again.
All right, so there's still 2 alive. Just as with my horde breaker one, instead of a separate arrow for each attack, is it okay if I just grab 2 arrows at once and put it into the bow and shoot both of them with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Just to add a little flavor to the shot.
Yeah, go for it.
So first one is, that's like a 24. Second attack is 13.
Yeah, they both hit, and you don't even have to roll damage. You kill them, so you can describe how you kill them.
Yeah, I just reach back, grab 2 arrows at once, far back as I can in the bow, and just let loose. One on the ground, I pin his head to the ground, and the other one, takes him right in the chest, and as he falls back, he just goes taut on the whip that's still around his neck and is just hanging there.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. In fact, you, if you want to, because that one was almost dead, your second shot took out you fire at the one, and then
Sorry, I didn't get that. You're kind of breaking up there a little bit.
Sorry, can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
You were able to take out both of the zombies because the first one with your first arrow was, he was killed instantly. Bolt right through the face or arrow right through the face. So then you were able to sort of divert your second attack, with just incredible speed, down to the one on the ground, and you took out both of them.
There we go. Finally getting something done.
Yeah. So they're dead. Oh yeah. So at this point, the kids are definitely shaken. Like they're not crying, which is good, but they're nervous. And Dungren says, he looks to Fallon and he says, "You look like the sneakiest one. Scout ahead. Make sure we have a clear path. But we gotta go." And just as he said that, just to sort of add weight to his words, you guys see this mass of zombies, probably about 40 of them, about, I would say, 60 to 80 feet down the road, just coming in your direction. They're pretty slow, so they won't get to you if you move, but it's a big horde.
Alrighty, so Talon reacts by simply just looking at the dwarf and then just going like just not a response, and then just starts walking towards the way ahead to scout, keeping to the shadows.
All right. Awesome. So yeah. So if you want, actually, go ahead and make a stealth check for me.
I'll check something.
Yeah.
That is a 18.
Nice, nice. Okay, cool. So yeah, you managed to stealth along, and the nice thing is that, and like I mentioned before, you can basically use that as a way to kind of aid your companions. So I'm going to rule that you guys are able to long. He's kind of leading the way, and like he'll stop when he needs to stop, and he'll and then he like hand signals, go, 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 and all that. And so you guys are able to make it through most of the city without event. There are zombie hordes that will be coming along, and you guys do kill a few stragglers here or there that kind of break off from the pack, but you guys managed to make it to the to right outside of the town center. It's a big kind of plaza area where in a large market. This is where people would come, and there would be entertainment. There would be a huge kind of a bazaar, and you're able to peer in, and you see this thing is just full of zombies. But the worst part is that there is this massive, looks like almost like an ogre, standing right in the middle of this big horde, and he's got this giant club in his hand, and none of the other zombies had been holding weapons at this point. But I mean, you can see like half the flesh on one side of his face is gone, and like his jaw is exposed, and all of his teeth are filed down. So he looks real nasty. And so and Dungren sees that, and he's like, "Oh my! If I had ever needed Paylor, now is the time. How are we gonna get past this?" And he looks to you guys, and he says, "If you got any bright ideas, I'm open to them."
If they're far away from us, right?
Yeah, you guys are at a point where you're probably about 50 feet away, but you can see the square at this point. They can't see you, though.
All right. Well, I have an idea with all of us on with crossbows, right? I forget the range on a crossbow, but if we all load up these and I start handing out the bolts, right? Getting a breaking line of sight behind something first.
Mm-hmm.
Because the bolts have the light spell cast on them, and just showing them, it has some cloth with some blood, and I experimented before leaving the barracks. This will draw their attention, as long as they don't see us. If we fire all these bolts just off to the distance, maybe it'll draw enough of them away, if not all.
I offer a suggestion. Why not fire them into the ogre, and the zombies attack the ogre?
Then it still bars our path.
Yeah, and you got the impression that they weren't necessarily drawn. That might happen, but it was more that they could smell blood, and so they were diverted towards that. If the zombie ogre has these bolts in them, that might work, but I wouldn't recommend that.
Neither would I.
Just an idea.
We need to get them away from the square. Not hoarding even more in the square, regardless if they're attacking the ogre or not. We need them away. We need them to run. Are you with me on this or not?
Again, I just keep.
I'll look at my allies, ending my gaze at Dungrim.
I take one of his one of his bolts and start loading my crossbow.
So I start, same motion, start doing the same, and just on the count of 3, for us to fire all these bolts.
Yeah.
That way, at least if they're fired same time and all fall in the same, sort of area. Well, I'll point to an area first.
Yeah.
That's our target. Just so they land all in the same area and hopefully carry, together a greater scent than either of them would separate.
Nice. Yeah. And the two women load up a crossbow, and Dungren nods, and he kind of he puts his sword back and draws his heavy crossbow and grabs one of the bolts, and he's like, now here's someone who's thinking. And and he's like, all right, let's do it on 3.
Yeah, it's a sound plan. Let's get it done.
Yeah. So, 1, 2, 3, you guys fire, and the bolts kind of all, probably I think there's 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts go flying, and kind of stick into the wall of a building, sort of to the left of the direction that you guys were coming, and then, the zombies at least closest to that, they can hear the sound, and so they look up and they start, they start looking over, and then, and then they start sniffing, and they're like, and then, some of them start shambling over there, and then more start shambling over there, and more start shambling over there, and at this point, the huge one, this big ogre-looking one, notices what's going on, and for a minute he takes a step or two in that direction, and then he kind of shakes his head, and he stops, and with his one hand on his club, he puts up his other hand, and he's like, he kind of holds his hand out like this, and he goes like that, and puts it down like in a stop motion, and most of the zombies have cleared out of the horde at this point, but a couple of them stop. So he clearly has some sort of limited control over these zombies, and he stays put, but he doesn't speak or verbalize or anything. So at this point, you've drawn off. There was probably about 100 zombies. You guys have probably drawn off 60 of them. And after seeing this, Dungren looks at this, and he kind of this look of calm comes over his face, and he says, chances are the same trick ain't gonna work twice, but I think it's clear this is my moment. And he drops his crossbow, and he pulls out his sword, and he says, you guys have done a great honor. It's been a pleasure knowing you, but now it's time for me to save you. And he rushes out head
Wait,
first.
no, I'll grab him before he rushes out.
All right, he attempts to grab him. You grab him, wait!
I'll tell him wait, and I face him. I'll kneel down so that I'm closer to his level, looking him in the eyes, trying to give him as concerned a look as possible, both hands on either shoulder, and then before you go, please join me in a silent prayer. Then I'll close my eyes and bow my head, and then before letting him go, I'll actually end it by saying, may the light of Palor guide you, and cast light on his sword.
Nice. Awesome. Yep. And,
Oh wow.
yeah, you totally do that, and for a minute he's taken aback, but he looks to you and he says, "Thank you, brother. I appreciate it." And he kind of gets up, and he continues his interrupted charge, but kind of veering off. He's not going towards the ogre zombie. He's drawing the other ones out, yelling, and they do go after him. They follow, and he kind of makes his stand over on the corner, and you see as he swings his sword with the first swing, that this radiant light just kind of fills him for a second, and when he strikes the first zombie, this white light just blasts out all around him and takes out like a swath of these zombies before he's overrun, and they all sort of jump on him and pile on him. And you hear one scream of pain from that direction, and then he's consumed by these zombies. The ogre looks in that direction, and he starts to kind of go over there, and then he's like, and then he starts looking around. He stops and he starts looking around, just like, where did this crazy dwarf come from? So what would you guys like to do? Oh, by the way,
how close is the port?
Hold on, Nelson, take a point of inspiration, because that was kind of awesome. So, how close is the port from here? You would know that, you would have to get through this square, and then it's probably about 6 or 7 city blocks from this town square. The town square is fairly close to the port.
Alrighty then. I say we make for it.
Yeah. I would have while Dungrim was charging and he had that attention.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming he didn't die in like seconds, right? Like you said he cut down a whole swath and stuff.
Yeah, so like he basically, you helped redeem Dungren Orkblade. He regained his holy powers, and basically smite a bunch of the zombies.
Yeah.
And then they kind of jumped on him, and he was trying to fight them off.
While
but
that was happening, instead of watching in awe, I would have been saying, let his sacrifice not be in vain, and start like issuing the children and the women, telling them it's your time, it's your time. Go. I will stay back in case.
Okay, nice.
And then I'll also tell them, if you don't see me again, please remember our names. In reference to Dungrim and myself.
Yeah, nice. No, that's cool. And both of the women are crying, but not hysterically. They're just sad, and they said, we will never forget what you guys have done for us and for Dungren. Thank you.
I go, please go. It's not. and throw a little fake little.
Nice.
Now is not the time for tears. Go.
By Palor's holy light, I cannot cry. I promised myself I wouldn't. Yeah. Nice. And they're definitely moved by your theatrics. It's clearly working on them. The children are looking at you like you're full of shit, but they, but they don't say anything because they're terrified. So at this point, if you want to try to sort of skirt around and avoid this guy, it's going to require a fairly decent stealth check or kind of a lengthy detour, because really both directions that you could sneak around are full of zombie hordes. The one side are off like, oh, where's this blood we smell? Why can't we find anything to eat? And the other one are ripping apart a dwarf. So, but I mean, you can certainly attempt to sneak past.
I'll tell the rest of my allies, protect the innocents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let not your lives up until this point dictate your valor. Protect these innocents. Get them out of here. If you can, wait for me. If you cannot, leave. But the only thing I ask of you is that you may share in the letting of our blood. And I'll actually take a dagger and a piece of cloth, and I'll cut myself for like a point,
mm-hmm.
and start soaking it in blood and pass it around, as if motioning for everyone to do the same exact thing.
Nice.
Actually, I'll do a couple of points. I'll do enough so that potion of healing I have would work on me,
Yeah.
and and get it nice and soaked in blood,
All right.
and then
Nice.
I'll pass it around until it's like literally drenched, and then I'll start wiping it on myself.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I know the elves are like, what the hell is this crazy human doing?
Is there a building close to us that is maybe not is that's maybe got a balcony that I can climb up onto, and that's on the other side from where the women and children are going to leave from, where I could shoot some arrows from the top of a building?
Yeah, I mean, you basically you guys are behind a building, kind of peeking around, or you were. The buildings all around you are 2 or 3 stories high. This is a fairly prosperous town. And around the town square is prime real estate. So this is where the wealthy merchants would live. This is where the pirate captains would keep their mistresses in splendor. The brothels and whatever, the nice ones are here. So yeah, you could definitely do that. In fact, to either side of you are 2 big buildings. One of them is like a saloon, but it's like 3 or 4 stories, and there's balconies running along the entire length of the building. Yeah. And so far you haven't noticed any creatures inside the buildings. It seemed like they were all sort of milling about in the center.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do my best to climb up on the building that we're right at right now, get onto the balcony, so when the children and the women are, skirting around one way, if anything notices them, I'm going to start raining arrows down.
Okay. If you're trying to scale the outside of the building, definitely make a I think is it athletics for strengths? Let me see. Yeah, athletics check.
Athletics.
For strength is athletics.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you have any gear that would have like a rope or anything in it?
I've got 50 feet of hemp rope on my explorer's pack.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, my athletics check sucked. I rolled a 7.
Okay. So you kind of throw your rope up, and you kind of pull it, and it holds for just a minute. And you put your one arm up on the rope, you put your foot up on the building. You go to take your first one up, and your foot slips on the slick stone wall, and you fall right back on your back, and your head splashes back into a puddle, and you just taste this like nasty acrid rainwater in your mouth. And you get up coughing, choking kind of a little bit, and you were completely drenched anyway, but now it's like this puddle water, in your face.
Alrighty, so what I said, I walk over to him and I say, "Here, this may help you better," and I hand him over my grappling hook.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So I try that. Maybe he should throw it for me as well.
How high is this thing? Like, how high is the building he's trying to scale?
It's about 4 stories, so about 40 feet high. Well, I guess if you're trying to get up to the first balcony, it's not that bad. It would be, maybe 15 feet.
That's all.
Oh, fuck that! I just mage hand the thing and use mage hand ledger domain to tie a knot.
Okay.
You want to go? You want to go? And as I'm saying that, the rope is just getting higher and higher and higher.
Nice. Awesome. All right, and then I would say because of that, and with the aid of your friends, you can take your time and kind of scale the outside of the building. You kind of pull yourself up over the balcony, shimmy the rope up, get your bow ready, and you're good to go.
I'm there.
Nice.
All right, so I assume that I am going to be trying to lead the children through by the use of stealth.
If you want to, yeah, you can definitely do that.
And what was the other option?
The other option is to just straight up try to kill the guy.
Yeah, I'm going to try and stealth it.
All right.
And while he's
go ahead.
Sorry, while he's trying to stealth, if I see him going one way, I'm not going to target a zombie. I'm going to target something on the opposite side where he's taking the children and try and smash out a window or something that's going to make a lot of noise while he's going the other way, just to give him a little bit of aid on his stealth.
Yeah, well, and so you know, as a ranger and having an idea of of kind of predators and how things work, you understand that the zombie hordes are distracted. They're not going to be the main threat, because they have what they want. So the zombies that are attacking Dungren, they're feeding, they're getting what they need. So they wouldn't be likely to divert, unless there was a huge distraction. But yeah, you could attempt to either fire at or distract the zombie ogre. Kind of, because he's the one that's going to be more likely to notice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, if Fallon, while you're making a stealth check, if you kind of delay and your allies are distracting, you'll get advantage on the roll.
So if I wait for them to distract, then
Yeah.
I'll get
So like
advantage?
if you wait for them to distract the the people, the zombie ogre, then when you make your stealth check, you can make it at advantage.
Okay, then I will do that.
Okay. And,
Okay. Well,
yep. Go ahead.
I'm going to mark the zombie ogre and I'll shoot him then.
Nice. All right. Yep. And I just wanted to mention too, Andrew, you do have a point of inspiration, so if you need to use that, you have that.
Yeah, I rolled a 17 on the dice natural with my +8. That's 25. So I hope that hit.
Oh, he's huge. He's easy to hit.
So he takes, that's squirrel crap, 8 points of damage.
Okay. Nice. And so I would say, do you want either psilocybin or Anders would go next?
Yeah. I'll pop a shot off at the zombie ogre as well.
All right. Nice.
And because he's not aware of me, I would get my sneak attack, correct? Or is he aware?
No, in this case, you would get your sneak attack because he's actually more focused on the elf on the balcony that just shot an arrow at him. So yeah.
All right. And you said he's how far away? 50 feet?
Yeah.
All right. I'm actually going to use my inspiration.
Okay.
See? No, that's better. 17?
Yeah, you hit him.
What is it? 7? Well, 9 and 2 is 11. So I hit him for 11 points of damage.
All right, nice. Yeah.
I'll hit him for 11 points of damage, right? And
Yep.
then I'll just walk out. You know what? Not yet. I'll hit him for 11 and duck behind the wall again.
Yeah.
And just continue to hide.
Yep. Absolutely.
I'll wait till our little mini horde starts moving out before I do what I want to do.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's great. So now, as he's been hit by an arrow and a bolt, he displays some emotion, which the other zombies had not. You can tell he's angered. He's like, "Rrr." And he starts making his way towards the building, but he's somewhat slow. So psilocybin, you can act at this point.
All right. I know what I'd like to do. I'm just trying to look it up right now. It's almost at the right page. Yeah, I want to use. Oh no! How far away is he from me right now?
It's about 50 feet.
All right, I'm gonna use my action to get 30 feet closer to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fine. And then, are you going to take an attack action as well, or are you Or are you just intending to move? Like, do you want to move into melee range with him?
Yeah, I'm trying to get to within 10 feet. Is there anything within like the 20 that would obscure his vision from me? Like I can hide behind or something like that?
No, at this point, because he's standing in the middle of the square, it's really this open area.
Okay, fair
So
enough.
you wouldn't necessarily be obscured. If you want, though, if you do intend to get into essentially melee range or within 10 feet so you can use your whip, you could use a dash action, um, which would get you within that range. It's basically a double move action, but it would take your whole.
Yeah, no, I'll just get within 30 so the next time I can get within range and then do something.
Yeah, all right, sounds good. Cool. So, yes, all right. Everyone is active at this point except for Fallon. So Fallon, if you wish at this point, you can now make your stealth roll and attempt to kind of get the kids past and the party past the.
All right, because the orc is
And you
distracted.
roll with advantage. Yeah. Yep. He's distracted.
All right, so I roll with advantage.
Yep.
Okay, come on. That is a 26.
Oh yeah. So you are like you basically it would almost be like you just dematerialized and turned into a shadow. You're like sneaking all kind of drow like up against the wall, and the kids are following you. They're actually pretty stealthy. All that time running around in an orphanage, having to figure out how to not get caught. The
How I learned.
yeah, exactly right. The human women, are slightly less stealthy, but I mean, the ogre has not noticed you guys at all, and so you're going to be able to make it to the other side of the square, and at this point it's heading downhill in a slight decline, and as you kind of crest the hill, you can see the docks down there, and you just see it's kind of an interesting sight. You see that there are ships moored in the harbor. And from the ships, arrows are just flying into this crowd of just a massive horde of zombies, but taking them out. And you can also see kind of there's walls. So what would happen is you're in the city, you'd be walking towards the walls. The walls kind of block the port, but the main gate is open. There are archers on top of the walls as well, firing down at zombies. So there's like a battle going on here. So there are zombies ahead of you, but you can see this as you get to the top of the hill. But now our big nasty ogre friend gets to act. So, psilocybin, you are unbelievably lucky and stealthy. He closes the gap towards you, and with his club double-handed, he goes and makes a big swing, and because the footing, is somewhat insecure, he actually stumbles a little bit, and his hit goes wide and crashes down into the stones, but near you, cracking the stones, and then he reaches over and he brings his club up and he goes to swing at you again. But with even less grace than the first time. And this time, he actually, the force of his swing kind of brings him backwards a little bit, and he's off balance. So he misses you twice. And
Nice.
yeah, and Naelander gets to, was it Naelandrel?
Nailendale, yeah.
Naelendel gets to go.
Okay, just raining arrows down on him.
Oh yeah.
And I can do that. I can do that extra damage from the hunter's mark on every turn.
Every attack, actually.
Yeah. 24 to hit.
You hit.
He takes 14 points of damage.
Nice. All right. So you stick him right in the side of the neck with your arrow. I mean, it was a good shot, and he's just like, he kind of has this rictus of pain on his face, and he reaches up with his other hand and just like snaps the arrow. and this black ooze just starts pouring out of his neck, and he's enraged at this point, and he actually is ignoring psilocybin at this point, and he looks like he wants to come and tear down that building that you're standing in. So he
Is he
starts
big
moving
enough to
towards you.
actually? Is he big enough to actually reach me from where he stands on the ground?
With his club, yes. Like he's probably about 8 or 9 feet tall, and you're about 15 feet off the ground. So he wouldn't probably be able to hit you directly. He would most likely try to smash the balcony that you were on.
Does the balcony offer any cover for me? Is it something that I can duck behind, or is it just a railing?
Yeah, I would say you could get using the cover rules. You would get partial cover, so I'd say you could get a +2.
Okay, that's what I
That's if
do.
you.
I'm
Yeah. Cool.
when I'll just pop up when I do my shots and kind of get back down after I'm done.
Nice, nice. Yeah, no, that's cool. Cool. I think we got Anders next, right?
Yeah. So he's not really focused on me.
Right.
So I'm gonna pop around and pop another shot into him.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And because he's engaged, you do get your sneak attack.
I don't think that's gonna hit. It's only 11.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, son of a! That's beautiful. I'll enjoy that.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
enjoy that hit.
He's big and slow.
10, 13. Oh, I didn't add my freaking dexterity the last hit. Doesn't matter. 13, 16 points of piercing damage, I believe.
Yeah, nice.
And with that, let me know if I can actually crack one of these bottles of light that I have.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I actually want to smash it on the wall that I'm by to try to draw his attention.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna duck behind the wall again and try to move to the other side of the building. If I can, I'll move inside the building.
Yeah, you want to go inside the building? Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. You basically there's a door right there. It's locked, but you can see that it's kind of been beaten on a little bit, so you can like just kick it and it'll fall in. And you pop in the building, and there's nothing, there's no creatures or anything in there.
And with the rest of my movement and using the canny action, could I make it to the second floor or no? Whether I can or can't, I'm doing everything in my power to make motions to get up to the second floor.
Yeah, I would say you could make it to the stairs at this point, and on your next action, I would say it would be feasible for you to make it up to the second floor.
Sure, no problem.
Yep. All right, so we'll go psilocybin next.
All right. How close is he within me now? Yeah.
He's within 10 feet. He's actually not focused on you anymore because he's trying to, kill this elf that keeps shooting him.
All right. Cool. I want to use my nature's wrath. I'm gonna bring up my shield, and you'll have to make a DC either strength or dex check, or be ensnared. I think it's a DC 10.
It doesn't even matter. He doesn't make it.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So
he is ensnared.
He's ensnared. Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, and then now I think you can still take a move action if you want.
Yeah, at that point I'll just kind of back away and retreat.
Okay.
As much as I can, like 15 feet.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's fine. You back away. The ensnaring him has enraged him. He lets out this bellow, and you see him like trying to pull his feet up, and he just can't do it. Like he's stuck. And what's happening is these vines are climbing up his leg slowly. But as they the farther that they get, and the more that they kind of dig in, you can see that they're starting to blacken and wither, and they're not becoming any like less substantial. They're still these thick vines, but they almost they look like they're turning into zombie vines. It's sort of horrific.
Awesome.
Cool. And so Fallon, our sneaky rogue, um, has crested the hill and is now looking down. You guys are in a position where there is a building to either side of you. Off to your right, there's this building. It looks like a warehouse, like where a merchant would just keep their goods or whatever. And to your left, it looks like it was a saloon or a tavern. But you are clear. There's if you were to proceed down the hill, you will either have to fight your way or sneak your way through a large horde of zombies, and also arrows flying in from the ships and the walls.
Okay, so how many zombies would be between me and the wall to the port?
None between you and the wall. You can make it to the wall. It's on the other side of the wall. What's basically happened is you have the wall here, and then there's maybe 2 or 3 blocks, and then you have the port. So the wall itself is blocked, and this wall happens to have soldiers, like a bunch of soldiers on the top, all firing. Well, actually, you can tell they're not soldiers. They actually look like sailors. They're firing like short bows, like that they would have on a ship, or crossbows. So it looks like the Navy has kind of come in, occupied these walls.
All right, and they wouldn't be shooting at me and the children, right?
No, they're actually focused on the outside, because basically they're trying to make it so that the ships can leave, but the ships don't want to leave now because all these zombies might swarm. So they're basically just trying to kill a bunch of zombies.
All right, so I'm gonna try and take our group into the wall.
Okay.
Just so we have like a checkpoint.
Yeah. So you take the group kind of up to the stairs that would lead up to the wall, and for a moment, one of the sailors, looks down and he fires a bolt arrow at you guys, but it misses, because at the last minute he recognizes that you're not zombies, and he kind of, like, oh shit, what did I do? And he kind of pulls his bow away, so it clanks kind of off on the cobblestones, and he says, "Have any of you been bitten?" No. All right, and he says, "Well, get your asses up here then. Hurry up."
And I hurry everybody in.
Cool. So you get up to the top of the wall.
Yep, and close the door behind us, definitely.
Yeah. Well, so there's actually not a door. It's just stone steps that go up. And the guard was like standing at the top of the steps.
Okay.
So yeah, but cool. All right. So we'll go back to Nailendrill, and see if he can piss off this ogre anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take another shot at him, pop over the balcony here, and
Nice.
now that I got a stationary target,
Yeah.
20
Yeah,
for
you hit him.
attack.
Yep.
He takes 6 points of damage. I rolled 2 ones on the dice I rolled.
Nice. You you definitely hit him, and he's definitely enraged. Like, at this point, this is very sort of uncharacteristic of a zombie to have this kind of rage, but he's pissed, and he actually takes his club and just like chucks it at you. But because he's entangled, and he just got shot with an arrow, it just kind of clanks off the side of the building and falls down and kind of shatters. So, and Anders, you kind of feel the building shudder a little bit as you're inside. As you're running up the stairs, and you for a minute you're like, whoa, like, oh god, I'm running up these stairs and the whole, there's an earthquake. But if you want, you can make it up to the second floor for your move action, or to the balcony if that's where you want to go.
Yeah, I wanted to reunite with one of these elven allies of mine.
Yep, absolutely.
And now I see what's going on, right?
Yes.
So I'm just gonna tip over and boop, launch a crossbow into its face or whatever other
Yep.
targets I so have. So that's a 12 on the dice. I
That still
completely
hits.
brain fart. Yeah.
So his armor
17.
class is 8. So
Oh God.
yeah,
Anything but a 1 and I hit him.
yeah.
Okay. So 13 and 3, 16 points of piercing damage.
Excellent. Yeah.
And
He,
I see that
oh,
he's ensnared, right?
yes, he is ensnared.
I go, well, this wouldn't be much more of an opportune time to leave this place than now.
That is a good point.
Yeah, I was just thinking myself to maybe tie some of this rope to an arrow, shoot it across to the next building, and try to Indiana Jones kind of swing off the balcony here to get away.
Yeah, you wouldn't even have to tie it to an arrow. You could just chuck it, like, you kind of swing it around, and because it's got the grappling hook on it, or your friend could mage hand it over.
He still has the grappling hook.
Yeah.
Even that, yeah. Well, I'll give that a try. I'll grab it and then run over and try and swing it to the building next to us. Get it a little higher so that we can actually swing off here to the ground.
Yeah, that's fine. And I'm not going to make you roll for it. You succeed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's I'm gonna make my jump then. Jump off, grab the rope, and just do a nice little swing off the balcony and see if I can, land halfway safe on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should I roll an acrobatics check for that?
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Rolled a 7.
Is that modified, or is that what you roll?
Oh yeah, that's modified. Yeah.
All right. So you definitely make it off the balcony. You come swinging down, and your plan was to, obviously let go and kind of tumble as you, as you got, down to the bottom part. But because the rope is so slick, your hands actually slip. And you don't fall off completely. You manage to grab back on with your elven reflexes just at the end, but the rope momentum carries you, and you just smack into the side of the other building.
I pull a Wile E. Coyote and just make a.
Yeah. And you actually take 2 points of damage as your head kind of hits the building, bounces off, and then kind of smashes a window. If the ogre could laugh, he definitely would be.
Yeah.
Nice.
I look up at our preacher man, give him the thumbs up.
Yep.
So you're on the ground next to in a nearby building?
Yeah,
the one across from us.
Yeah, across the way. He basically
But where was he going? Towards our escape route or in a opposite direction?
So
Yeah.
you were facing the square. You would have actually kind of gone off the side of the building, because you can't go straight across because that's just a big open space. But yeah, you would have basically tried to swing over to the next building, and were less than successful.
Yeah, that's my plan, to take the path that our dark elf friend went, and as soon as I get on the ground, I'm going to turn around facing the ogre again and see if I can get my bearings, get my bow up ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just wait for Anders to follow if he can, try and cover his descent.
Well, yeah, and Anders just took his move action to get up here, and then he attacked. So psilocybin gets to go next, and he you notice.
I dip back in.
What's
I
that?
use my candy action to dip back in the building just enough so that the
Gotcha.
ogre can't see me.
Yeah. Oh no, and that you can totally do that. He's not worried about you at all, as this elf that he hates just kind of crashed into this building. He's very distracted. And psilocybin
That was my
sees
plan
this
all
too.
along.
Yeah. He sees the elf kind of attempt to do something cool and fail spectacularly. So, but you get to go now. I think you're still muted. I don't know.
Yeah, CeeLo.
Oh shit!
Oh, there we go.
Oh, All right. So, where is he at? Next to me. He's pretty
So I
close,
think
right?
you moved a little ways out of his range at the end of your action, but you can certainly
Yeah.
use your move action to get back into range if you want. And you can tell he's pretty worse for wear. Like he's almost done.
All right. I am going to. I'm gonna go up and try to stab him with actually my rapier,
All
my
right,
little
yeah.
cane sword. And that will be a 16 to hit.
Yeah, you hit him.
All right, and that'll be a 8 damage.
All right, cool. Yeah, you stab him. You actually hamstring him. And he kind of drops to one knee.
Mm.
So he bellows in pain. He's got this blood leaking from him, and you see the vines, kind of these necrotic like zombie vines is crawling higher and higher up his body, and they're now up to like just below his rib cage, and it looks like they're starting to constrict him. And he's desperately trying to kind of tear them off of him, but he's not successful. And so he's gonna make one wild attempt. Oh my god! And he does. He actually just in this just rage rips these vines free, and he stands up gingerly on the one leg that was strung, and he tries to attack, but is in too weak of a condition to make any kind of successful attack against you. So he's standing, and he's not encumbered anymore, but he's almost out. And so now we're back to the top of the order. So
Yeah, well, first thing I'm going to do is, run the furthest distance I can away from him and then shoot him.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you can back up your full move action and then fire.
14 is a hit.
You
So
hit.
13 points of damage.
All right, you can describe how you kill this zombie ogre.
Well, as he slowly stands up, favoring his leg, I just run away like a coward, turn around, and shoot him. And actually, I'm going to take him in the leg that was injured and just watch him fall over like a big tree.
Nice. Yeah, you hamstring him and he falls down, and he kind of actually, in what you almost feel like is a spiteful last move, falls towards you, but you kind of leap out of the way and land on his back, and then just take an arrow and just stab it right into the back of his neck for the killing blow. And then if I had the Final Fantasy victory music, I would play it right now, but I don't. So, yeah. Exactly. Everybody's like, yay! So you defeated him. You kind of see Fallon, motioning to you. Come on. The coast is clear. The zombies on either side are still, still engaged in what they're doing. And unless you guys want to do anything, you can make it to the wall.
The only thing I'm going to wait for is Ander to make it out of the building, and then we'll head to the wall together.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. I'm cutting and running.
Nice. So you guys make it up to the wall, and you're standing up at the top, and the guard who was there, you see him firing down, and they're taking out these zombies, and the arrows from the ships are firing in as well, and
As a matter of fact,
yeah.
before cutting and running,
Yep.
seeing the horde of zombies assault that part of the wall,
Mm-hmm.
I tell them, they can go if they want, but I'm going to try to help. And I'll take the blood-soaked rag that I soaked in my own blood.
Yep.
And I'll try to pull some of them away. knowing that I can, I can outrun just about anything. And I'll
Okay.
lead them in a little bit deeper into town, a little bit away, however many I can, before using prestidigitation to clean the rag of the blood, leaving the blood just on the floor, and then looping around,
Yeah.
double back to where they went to get into the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and you do that, and the guards think you're crazy, but they're like, we're not going to stop you. So yeah, you go down, and I mean, there's a huge amount of zombies, but you end up managing to draw a pretty big horde because the zombies are frustrated because they can't get to their prey. The prey's on the wall, and they're in the ships, and so when you're there in their proximity, they're like, they're coming at you. So you're basically like running like your life depends on it, like, with this huge horde chasing after you. And fortunately, they're the slow zombies. But what that does is that creates a path for you guys to the ships. And a bunch of the sailors that were up there, they kind of, sheath their crossbows and their bows, and they draw their scimitars, and they said, all right, let's go, lads, let's go, get to the ships. And so you guys all run towards the ships, and you manage to make it through. And Andrew, you see what's going on, and you see that they're successfully boarding a ship. They actually jump in one of the boats and take a boat out to the ship and whatever. But you see that happening, and so you can describe how you want to get to the ship now. But you'll be successful. So
Yeah. Like I said, I'll double back and go to where the area they were initially in the wall. I'll meet up with them if I can. Go down the area, and before heading off of the wall,
Mhm.
whatever sailors are around with their crossbows and stuff,
Mhm.
I reach into that small quiver, that small satchel holding the remainder of the bolts, and as I open it, it starts to glow just on top,
Mhm.
and then I pull them out, and then walking one by one, I say, "May Paylor's light be with you,"
Nice.
and then start handing them out one by one, and I tell them I would stay, but there are innocents that I must tend to and ensure their safety. And then I leave to go to the ship.
Yeah, of course. And you see, yeah, you make it. You get on the ship. And so, I mean, that's the end. I'll read the ending thing that I have here. You're standing on the deck of the ship, and you look out across the city from the deck of the ship, breathing a huge sigh of relief, at your escape from the nightmare you just experienced. You hear the thwack of the catapults on the ships as they fire these enormous vials of what you now recognize as alchemist fire into the mass of undead zombies. Um, the soldiers on the docks and on the walls, they've come off the walls now, and they're making their way towards the ships, are firing their crossbows, just killing wave after wave of zombies as they desperately seek the flesh of the living on the ships. As the city starts to burn and the soldiers retreat to the ships, you take another deep breath of relief. Even though, the foul taste of that burning, rotting flesh is overwhelming your senses, you can't help but feel a little better. And just then, you spot above you a winged creature circling above the city. Through the smoke and the chaos all around you, you can clearly see a humanoid shape perched on top of the creature, just circling and circling and circling above the city. It looks as though it's like observing what's going on. It circles one or two more times and then gives this great shriek, which pierces the air and flies off north. And that's the end. You guys survived.
Yeah, on the ship, just like as an exit scene for my character, as they're hurling this alchemist fire, noticing this winged creature with its rider, almost trying to detract attention from that,
Mm-hmm.
and rallying up all the sailors and survivors and stuff. And I'm like, "May Paylor's glory burn!" And as I do it, I belch out a large gout of flame in casting Burning Hands. And I'll take the I forgot what it's called again. Where did I write it down? That liquor.
Yeah. Oh, the golden drac.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
golden drock.
Yeah.
I had salvaged 2 bottles, but I take one bottle and
Yeah.
I start going around grabbing whatever goblets and shot glasses and whatever, and I pour just a little bit,
Yeah.
just like a half a shot's worth, and I go, no one drink, no one partake of this holy sacrament as of yet, and then when we get further and further, I give everything out. I call as many people as I can together,
Mhm.
and I raise up whatever glass I have left, and I pour that one bottle, half a shot at a time to everyone, right?
Nice.
And until it's empty, right? And then I gather everyone around and start walking, looking at them, trying to put as somber a look as I can, and just start, saying his name was Dungrim Orkblade,
Yeah.
a man of Palor, redeemed in his last moments. Remember his name. And I turn to the survivors and I go, remember his deeds, right? And then I raise the glass and let Palor's flame burn in you. And then I'll take a shot, and then after taking a shot, look up, and then I'll scream the name Palor as the fire comes out.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And a couple of the sailors near you cheer, and a couple others, like the quartermaster, is like, kind of annoyed because it's like, oh man, all this fire on his ship. He's like, this is not a good idea, but but then he partakes too because he's like, whatever, we just survived. So yeah, awesome.
And I just add one little cheers to Dungren the dwarf and just say he was a dwarf that lost his face, but there's one power that cannot be taken from him, and that was his courage. Cheers.
Nice. Cool.
And on that note, I'd just like to say that was really good. I know I don't often experience that kind of description or role playing in games that I play, and I actually learned from it, and I really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, well,
Good
I really
job.
appreciate it. Yeah,
No
I
problem.
mean, you guys were great. So I hope you guys had fun.
Yeah, that was cool, man.
Nice, nice.
I liked
Yeah.
it, bud.
No, I know.
Sorry I didn't. I wasn't that active, but
Hey, no, that's cool, man. I'll tell you that ensnare was just perfect. Like that was so timely. It was ridiculous, because I'm
Yeah.
like I was all ready to be like, yep, they're gonna get thrashed. This is great. And then Fallon was like all sleepy as hell. And I was like, what? Keep those dice, by the way. Those
Yeah,
are
it literally it's these two.
yeah. Nice, nice. I mean, they'll probably let you down in your next game, but damn, yeah. And then, man, yeah. And then it was like ensnare, and then I was like, yeah. So it was kind of cool.
Everything
Definitely
worked out perfectly.
awesome. Yeah, I did post the YouTube link in the chat here, but I'll post it in the little Facebook group that we had, and I'll probably post it in the one shot group as well, just so everyone can see that. But yeah, thanks guys for joining in.
Good stuff. Well,
Yeah.
thanks again, and nice to meet you all. And hopefully we'll see you again sometime.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah,
Yes,
most
it's really
definitely.
Awesome.
I mean, games are happening like all the time, so
Yeah,
I'm running games in more and more succession as
if
well.
you guys want to as well, to add me on Facebook. I got this chat group that I'm kind of running for active tabletop gamers. I post on there my one shots first. So
decent.
Yeah,
Will
definitely.
do.
All right.
Cool.
All right, everybody.
All right.
Well, good night.
Yeah. Good night, guys.
Night.
Good night, brothers.